3,
I have
2, 1, go.
Wow.
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 Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dialog Choices Podcast, episode 38. It's our 1-year anniversary, so we're streaming today. But no one heard me say we're streaming because I just started streaming. So that it's just
Wow.
for the recording audience. Streaming's
Great.
weird.
Oh, actually, I just opened the video and I heard you say that
Yeah.
you were streaming.
Right on time.
So somebody heard it.
You can see it.
Has
It's
it,
like
has it really been a year?
Yeah, it's been a year. The first episode ever went up on September 21st, 2020.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So a day after tomorrow, the day after the final video goes up for this, it's as close as you'll get. Yeah, it snuck up.
Congratulations.
You can see our grade of how
so.
consistently we uploaded, because we have this is episode 38 when there's 52 weeks in a year.
Not bad.
We also had
That said,
two. Twice we got double episodes out of a week too, so it's even worse. There's two
That's
more.
also true.
So we missed 16 weeks, I think, out of 52. That is our opener. Exciting.
Checks out. Checks out. So why are we
Well-
streaming this?
Because it's
I
the
mean,
1 year,
like,
and I
we
just
just- we
vaguely
talked
felt
about
like
this.
I should do something special, but I don't fucking... How do you do anything special in our line of work? It'd be like, wow, it's an event. It's like, I don't know, we'll stream
Well,
a podcast.
You get guests. You get really
there was
cool
that-
guests.
Oh, you
They
got
don't
guests.
return my
That's great.
calls, or they do and they say, "Oh yeah, sounds great. I'm busy this weekend though."
Which is that doesn't matter whether they're friend or foe. That's just
Yeah.
a normal human response.
I had like
to
a back
most,
and forth.
planning.
We did have one time where I thought I was gonna get guests, and then then I was like, "Oh fuck!" But that was more yeses than I was expecting. Are we gonna have multiple guests in the same episode? And then there was no guests. Nobody actually ended up showing
Oh
up.
boy.
So
Well,
networking is scary.
hmm Especially on a time frame.
Yeah.
But we are here for each other.
You know, I've had the thought that if I try to get like a specific person, it's probably just gonna be like me showing up whenever they're available, like as a one-on-one thing, like the developer interview with the guy that did Lock, because that's just way less coordination.
Mm-hmm.
We have a leftover question that's just like, what moment made you realize you wanted to be a Let's Player? And I just singled that one out because it's just funny to me. Did you have a moment
is.
where you realized you wanted to be a Let's Player? Anybody?
Ooh, it's been a while.
no.
I mean, it's been a while for me. I can only imagine how you must feel about it. It's been, for you guys, it's been almost 10 years.
Yeah, we're
more
coming
or
up on...
less.
Jesus.
It's been 84 years.
It's been 84 years. Let's see. Protect Me Night. What day did that go up on?
You don't have
September...
a spreadsheet with all those things?
Let's
I have all
see.
my spreadsheets.
Oh, shit.
And all my...
We missed our 10-year anniversary, Andrew. It happened already.
Yeah, we did.
It's
Yeah,
Protect Me Night went up on
YouTube,
September 13th, 2011.
Yeah,
that's
YouTube.
not
About a
good.
week ago.
I keep thinking we're
YouTube
in
sent me
2020.
when I logged into the Sad Games dashboard. It was like, "Hey, it's your birthday. You want to do something?" And I was like, "Okay." And then the page failed to load. And I was like, "Okay, well, this is pretty much a good experience of YouTube."
Yeah. So I guess this is our 10-year anniversary, basically, of doing Let's Plays coincidentally, and we lost track. I was literally about to Google like, when did Dark Souls come out? Because like that was like one of the first things we touched, but no.
That was 2009, right? Dark Souls?
That's 2011.
Oh, no,
2000
2011.
Demon Souls was
That's
2009.
Demon Souls 2009. Yeah.
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 But no, we what is it? I mean, our roots are weird and stupid, which is that I was in college, and at one point I had this idea in college that I was this is completely insane. It's definitely one of those things that only exists in your mind and never actually, like, the rubber never hits the road at all, because it's terrifying to think about. But basically there was just always protesters at college, and they're like conservative protesters that were there to get you, and they were like, I'm going to show you these giant poster boards of aborted fetuses and stuff like that, and just ruin your day and just be irritating. And then there's always the people with like their like set up tables about the Bible and they're gonna like convert you on the spot on campus or something. Like it was just a lot to deal with. So I had
Like,
this
I'm
vague.
laughing, but it's not funny.
It's not fun. So I was
No.
like, so as a plucky 21-year-old, I was like, I'm gonna like I'm gonna make a YouTube channel where I like interview or debate with some of these people or whatever the fuck, which is just like it's a bad idea in general and a thing that I would be poorly suited for. And definitely even back then, like my world was obvious. Like I didn't know much. I've changed so much since I was 21 that like the idea of that is like mortifying that I'd ever do something like that. But you know, it's you entertain the thought. But and I ended up putting out a thing out on Facebook to be like, let's do like get a group together and maybe we'll debate things or whatever. And that was Sit and Discuss, the original channel. And we met up with like some school friends and Andrew was there because he just kind of latched onto the idea and volunteered to like host the thing. Which
Ballsy.
like before that we basically just knew each other from like 2 separate midnight premieres for video games.
Yes.
And hadn't interacted that much. But then what happened is we just fucking podcasted basically without even necessarily, I don't even know if we knew what podcasts were back then, but we ended up just doing a podcast for like an hour and chopping that into little videos, and like there was funny moments and all that, and like that was just entertaining, so we just left it there. And then literally like the spin-off was just that fucking Andrew played Amnesia and reviewed it on Steam and said play Amnesia, get insomnia, and I was like, would it be funny if we like just like recorded that like a horror game? Like I was like inventing, like in my mind I was like, this is a new idea. Like I hadn't heard of a Let's Play. The first Let's Play channel I ever followed wouldn't exist until after we started doing it, because Game Grumps came out in 2012. So like I didn't consume Let's Play content and didn't really know they existed, and it was way less popular. So I just had the idea like it'd be funny to record a video game, and that was that.
Yep.
So it's like the inverse of the idea of like, when did you realize you want to be this thing that you have a word for? It's like, words? I didn't have words. It's just really intuitive to record a video game. I had like years before that, you'd record like you beating a boss in a WoW or something and upload it on YouTube. But you weren't like,
Yeah, there
thinking
were
about it
like
being like a job or a platform.
there were like guides or like very very loose ideas of using like using YouTube to explain how to do things in video games or something like that, but it was never like I'm just going to upload 20 hours of me playing a game. Like that
And
just
even-
didn't seem feasible cuz like the technology at the time was also just banana garbage. It was like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
you want to go buy a capture card from Best Buy that only does like
Oh yeah, all of our
RGB?
original recordings are
and-
bad.
Yeah,
They're
it's
like
recorded
badly-
using awful.
They're badly set up and badly edited, but also on bad hardware.
Yeah.
And in the early days, I had absolutely no idea how any of it worked. I just showed up at Andrew's place, and he just did something, and we just hoped for the
Yep.
best. And I didn't have any like reference point for quality at that point either. But we didn't know if we even wanted to be Let's Players after we were already doing it. You'll remember at one point I basically quit because I was like, we were trying to record Dark Souls 1, and I'm like, why would I ever do this? Why wouldn't I just enjoy playing video games on their own and not like do it in this weird contrived setting that makes them shittier and less fun to do and so on? And it's like it's like come full circle now in a weird way where like Let's Plays have almost made me enjoy games more than I was at the time not doing Let's Plays, because you have like you're more attentive and so on. But like yeah, like I quit for a bit at one point, kind of. I don't remember how long that lasted, but I was like phasing out of the idea. I think we might have just kept doing Xbox Live indie games as opposed to like doing a series anymore for a while. There's also a phase where Andrew was like, I'm going to repurpose the entire channel and delete all of our videos, and we're going to be a boss fight channel now, because he had like one conversation with Joe. And so like it was just like phase after phase after of like the opposite of ever knowing you wanted to be a Let's Player, basically.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, there's a lot of. It's just a lot of like, well, I don't know where to go. I don't know how to use YouTube. I don't know what the, like, is there a structure? Is there a guide? Is there a secret,
Yeah,
you know, a
we didn't know what we
plan
were
that you're
doing.
supposed to follow? But yeah, and like it turns out that like no, there isn't. It's just YouTube's all about just luck. It's all just about like you just happen to have accidentally shown up in a place that had a lot of people looking at it. Oops, my bad. wasn't supposed to happen, but now you're popular, enjoy it. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like if I don't know. I feel like if I had gone with the knowledge that I have now, I probably would have spent a lot more time editing and a lot less time. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
that's a very
It's
the problem with the editing. I feel, and obviously, well, I don't speak with personal experience, but I feel that it's harder for it's not it's a bigger ceiling for channels that have heavily edited content, as in you can grow bigger and faster, but it's also a lot harder because heavily edited content is so, for one, it's harder to make, so you're going to be making less of it, so it's going to be harder for you to compete on all fronts depending on what games you play and all that, but also you're
I
going up
mean,
against,
it can definitely do way better though.
yeah, you like that's why I'm saying the ceiling is bigger, but I think it might be harder to break through because one of the things that got me through, well, probably the first 2 years, I feel, well, and it effectively, since I'm not doing YouTube as my main job, it got me through the last 6 years, which is my entirety of YouTube. The thing that got me through is the fact that I can make so much with relatively little effort. And early on, I was, and even until very late, I was basically on OBS. I would just start recording, and I would record the full episode, and I pause, and I stop it at the end and upload that straight away, and that was it. So that ease of that lack of basically quality control and lack of effort in a way, because I'm not going back and editing all the things and all that. That definitely allowed me to be okay with a, I don't know. I think if I was putting in the effort that you need to edit everything, I would have burned out early on because it's really difficult. I think I got very lucky with my growth. It took me, I think, about 2 years to get to a steady 6,000 views a day, and that's where I am still. But basically, I plateaued at that. But I still think I'm very lucky. Early on, I'm gonna get to how I, or when the moment was that I uh, realized I wanted to do YouTube. But you were saying that there was no guide or anything early on, and I think even in 2015, which is when I started, there was already things like the Let's Play subreddit where Let's Players would help each other and give and answer questions and all this sort of stuff. And I think it's still going. I haven't been there in a while. And there were guides about configuring OBS, and OBS obviously being a very important tool for us to record our games. Not necessarily the only tool that we use, but it's a very important one. So all the technical stuff and questions and stuff back in 2015 were already available in a way, but the biggest hurdles are really about figuring yourself out, figuring your workflow when you're when you're ready to record, what you need to do after recording, all the thumbnails and logos early on, and just your own branding, your own persona, all that sort of stuff is so much more work than just configuring OBS and learning what hardware you need to record. Um, and, what I'm gonna say though is that because I went to those subreddits as I was starting out, and I got to see and meet a lot of people. I say a lot, but like a handful of people, and I followed them on YouTube and followed their career. Some of them I still keep up with, just sort of following them on Twitter or on YouTube. But I didn't see anyone have a channel with success like I did. So like I've had people comment about, oh, this channel is dead. It doesn't get any comments, or I can't believe you're still doing it.
It always feels like people don't agree on definitions of things or something. Like I understand calling a chat dead if no one's talking in it, regardless of context. Like a dead chat's a dead chat. A dead channel implies that it was previously higher activity and then died. That's like what death represents.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
exactly.
and whenever somebody calls one of our channels dead, it's always like, but it's literally doing better than ever before. Like right
Yeah.
now, this is the peak. It's continuing to grow. Like it's not what the word means. It's not PewDiePie, therefore it's dead. It's like that's not what words mean.
Yeah. The thing is, like, people really don't understand that and your chat right now, by the way, Keith, is just
We need to
super
get to the
lively right
actual
now.
questions.
But the
We are
the
doing a
thing with-
question right now.
yeah. The thing with people thinking it's dead is that people just don't have no idea how difficult it is to stand out. And when I say difficult, obviously I mean the effort that we have to put in. I don't want to dismiss that aspect of it, but because it is a lot of effort. It's at least the
It's like
effort I put in.
workhorse stuff though, as opposed to like standout creative works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you're doing daily grunt
you
work,
need to
which
be
is like it's a
lucky.
real job and all that. But like if you want to do better on YouTube, you just do something wildly different than the kind of template
I think
stuff.
even if you do something different, because that's what I was gonna say. Like all the other people that I followed from the time I spent browsing the Let's Play subreddit, they all had like some of them were great. They were fantastic. They were like incredible, super talented, and they were innovative. They were good at editing, and they just got 10 views, 15 views. That was it. 100 subscribers, some of them, and 1,000 at most. And it's like it's so unfair. It's all about luck. Because
one of the channels that we on because Let's Play Let's Play has the Unsucky Sunday thing, which is a stupid title that's awkward and weird. But you submit your Let's Play, and then the whoever won last week judges it, and they pick winners for that week and so on. And we won twice. I won once on my personal channel and once on Sad Games back in the day. And when Andrew and I judged it, we worked through the giant list of fucking 100 submissions. We split it between the two of us, and we'd watch a minute of each video, and if it caught our attention, we'd look into it further, and because we had to parse through them all. The one of the winning channels from that we gave the stupid fake award to was Treesicle. Treesicle now has 915,000 subscribers. One of the channels that we recognized in that is more successful than any of us will ever be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
really funny.
Good on you for recognizing it, I suppose.
It's just really they don't do Let's Plays though, so that's the trick. See?
Yeah, that's the trick. Yeah.
They went off to make a bunch of fucking theory videos like game theory, and now they're successful.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing though, is that the content there is a market for a content, and Let's Plays are they are a very low barrier of entry into Let's Playing. You can get it if you have a gaming PC, you can basically be a Let's Player.
Yeah.
And if most people who play video games on PC have a gaming PC, so they can be a Let's Play. It's just it's streaming. Streaming is a very easy thing to do. So it's just, whereas making but the hard part is editing content. The hard part is going through and creating actually edited, balanced content. And that's why I said, if I could go back in time with my knowledge, I would, the main important thing I would do on Sad Games is just fix the fucking editing, because it's so bad. The audio's garbage, and some of the cuts are just awful, and doing these weird, unnecessary fucking
especially since we used
flares,
to get cut off at 10 minutes. You used to just
Yeah,
upload the videos as being exactly 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever.
it's just
so it cut off mid-sentence during Dark Souls and El Shaddai and so on.
And I admit, I will say firsthand, I am not meant for editing anything. I am terrible at editing videos. I have no sense of pacing or comedic timing, I am really bad at all of that. All I can tell you is I can get at least the bare minimum of getting hardware set up. I can get all of the hardware set up and I can get it working, but I cannot make a polished product. And that's again, that's something I've learned how to do a little bit better as time goes on.
We also have to curb ourselves really hard right now, and because we're 20 minutes in, we haven't answered a sequel question from chat.
Let's go that way.
Let's do it.
Keith, did you ever think this podcast would get this far? Yeah.
Yes.
Very arrogant.
It's not,
I like it.
I mean, it's not wow, you've grown, you're Joe Rogan. It's just a podcast that a handful of people watch. It didn't go anywhere. All I did was keep making it. That's easy. And did I think I'd keep? Yeah, it's fucking. I preemptively searched up my own playlist to check, and my playlist for podcasts on this channel is already 162 episodes long. So like, this podcast is just the latest reboot where you just arbitrarily are like, I don't know, this particular cast of people quits doing the podcast for whatever, and then like you give me enough time, I'll just start another podcast with slightly different people. Most of them Andrew were on. So Andrew's been on a lot of those 162. But on top of that, I have a 100 episode Q&A on my Patreon. So on top of the 162 episodes of podcast that I have in my podcast folder. Yeah, those are long. Those are like 2 to 3 hours long.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're like this is like episode 38 of this podcast, but like this is like my 5th podcast. We started as a podcast. That's what Sit and Discuss was.
Yeah.
And we took over Dual Sticks, that fucking Tech Goblin podcast where that motherfucker, like that one guy was hosting a gaming podcast and he didn't know what Steam was. So it's like, what the fuck is this shit? What?
Yeah, well, he didn't he didn't do PC gaming. Remember, he was he was a console only gamer.
That exact kind of like smug, like, what's Steam? I don't care. I only play console games. I'm like, you're running a podcast about gaming and you don't even know basic.
Wow.
Like, come on, man. But no, we've been doing this for fucking ever. This entire, like, if you count Dual Sticks and Sit and Discuss, there's even more podcasts that aren't even in the fucking playlist.
True. My entire life is just a podcast, honestly.
Yeah. The podcast is you just go.
The fact that we're all known quantities is also helps for the foreseeable longevity of the podcast. Because it's like, if we were just people off the curb, it'd be hard to be next week, let alone a year.
Yeah,
after.
it's hard if you have to do like an organized thing all the time and like figure out like, oh, who are we getting in this week and what's the news and shit. It's like we just fucking go. And certain people continue to marvel at the fact that we could just go, but we could just keep going for fucking, like, we literally go on for like 20 to 40 minutes before the podcast and oftentimes after it. Like, it's just like, all right, I gotta fucking use the restroom. Bye, guys.
Yeah, I usually have to go
or like,
take the dog out.
Or like, geez, we've been going for we need to start the fucking podcast already. And then also not awkwardly just continue the conversation that happened off camera.
That's the hard part. The hard part is like, having
resetting.
A conversation and wanting to continue the conversation, but no.
It happened at least twice. The Halfords ask, how did Colonel join the group? Was it a mutual friend or just through YouTube? Whenever I looked up, because I played a bunch of like RPG-ish indie game type stuff, like Fall of the Dungeon Guardians and Grimrock and like that kind of like specific genre of games, that subcategory. And every time I looked up videos of those games at all when I was looking into them, or when I was even looking into games I might cover, there would always be videos by Bumpy McSquigums having already covered said game, basically. And so one time I reached out to him and I was just like, hey, you want to like do a video sometime, like just collaborate? And we did it on like a throwaway game, Viking Squad, just to like check it out. And like, because we don't know how that dynamic's gonna go or whatnot, so might as well just like, let's just check it out in this game. And he's like, yeah, can I bring Colonel RPG? I'm like, that's the other guy that's always in the search results. And so all 3 of us collaborated that time. And then Colonel became a fan, I guess, because he kept watching the channel for years.
Yeah, I don't remember what game it was though. It was like a Lost Vikings sort of game, or
Viking
Golden
Squad.
Axe. Viking Squad, that's the one.
Yeah, we played Viking Squad. It was a 3-player, which is a weird number, a 3-player hack and slash game. And there was the weird coincidence where like I also had a random friend come in and also out of nowhere who also just wanted to play Viking Squad for some reason. So suddenly I had 2 playthroughs of Viking Squad.
2 Let's Plays.
I uploaded a season 1 and a season 2, where I played one with my friend and Andrew, and one with Bumpy McSquigums and Colonel RPG. I'm like, what the this game is not worth 2 seasons, but like it just happened at me, and I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah, really.
At the time,
it wasn't really that impressive, but
no.
At the time, I think I had done some. This was like November, I think, or October 2016. I had done some Let's Plays with Bumpy, so I already had a little bit of a repertoire with him, and I also found him. I think I found him through Splattercat. Splattercat had a Let's Play of a game that I don't remember exactly what the name of it. It was like an MMO, and he invited viewers onto the world to play with him. And there
Ah.
was one episode where he saw Bumpy out in the distance, and they just did something. And he mentioned, "Oh, he's also a Let's Player. Go out and check his channel." And at the time, Bumpy had like
And then
5,000
you did.
subscribers. And I
Splattercast is a
did,
fucking weird world, like small world situation where it's like
yeah.
it's another Bay Area geologist Let's Player. I'm like, what the fuck? He's
Yeah.
way more successful than me.
Yeah, he's a geologist. That's right.
He just found more rocks than you, Keith.
And he's more or less around our age as well. And when I saw Bumpy, I was like, "Oh, his voice is amazing! I want to have a voice like his." Because Bumpy has a very deep voice, and it's just like, you know, I was very self-conscious about my own at the time, and so I think I reached out to him to do a Let's Play. I don't remember exactly what it was, and that's how I got that contact. And I had found Keith already, I think, with the Wasteland 2 Let's Play that you did at the time, but I don't remember exactly. And then I just found your videos, and they're good, so I watched. that's about it.
yeah. Brian
That's
Fargo
nice.
shared my Wasteland 2 playthrough at some point. I don't think he was like any kind of particular fan or even necessarily watched it or pay attention to it, but he just like was just doing like Twitter like bare minimum PR stuff probably of just like I'm supporting my game. But it definitely I think that seemed to lead to it getting special attention, and so it kind of took off until I think it might still be the biggest video on my entire channel, which is weird because it's not what anyone thinks of when they think of my channel. Oh yeah, it's
I think
Wasteland 2, then Divinity 2, and or Original Sin 2. Got to specify Divinity 2 is a much worse game, and Samros 3, and then We Were Here.
In
This is
Exile
just
is
a
really
weird
good
list.
with their PR. I find like they reached out to me regarding Wasteland 3, and every time I do a stream of Wasteland 3, they always like publicize. And I think a couple of times Brian Fargo has also showed up in chat, and people are like, "Oh, that's Brian Fargo," and I'm like, "No, it isn't." And then I make a fool of myself on camera with Brian Fargo watching. So, you know, like
Oh
those.
god, I looked at my stats.
Of what?
Don't look at your stats. That's
It's just
the
like
trap.
well, if you look
Stats of-
if you look at my stuff, you would think The Witness or like a Dark Souls game is probably the biggest video. Surprisingly, Oberdin has overtaken The Witness, but that's not that big of a deal. That's also like in my wheelhouse. Fucking State of Decay 2 is more popular than any of my Dark Souls videos.
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
Why
What
is
a
this
what a
happening?
miserable.
It is.
State of Decay 2?
Yep.
You have
that
Dark
game's
Souls 3
so
Part
trash.
1.
Maybe people just really enjoyed watching the
Am I
game
looking at the wrong
like
Yeah.
fall
yeah,
apart
you're right.
around our hands.
Salif Halcyon asks, I've noticed something about this group. Sometimes this group will watch/comment on each other's videos. How does viewing and commenting on someone you know differ from everyone else? Well, they're your friend instead of a parasocial relationship.
There's
the
still a
main
little bit of
thing.
parasocial relationship.
I mean, I don't know.
I think it's necessitated by watching somebody in a video, like in a way. Unless you like when I make a comment on one of your videos, I'm talking to a person that isn't the person who's gonna read the video. It's like, or in the sense of like I'm
Do you
talking
think
about
that way? Do you think do you think of it as a different person than just the me that you already know?
No. I mean, is what I think of what I'm trying to say is that it feels if I don't I don't comment to you who is reading the comments, I comment to you who is playing the video a lot of the time. Do you know what I mean? It's just different, and that's I feel that detachment as well when I read comments from other people, like especially older videos. It's the same thing. It's more apparent in older videos. Somebody's gonna comment about a comment that I made 5 years ago, and I just said something, you know, in the heat of the moment, and they're not talking to me right now. They're talking to me 5 years ago, and so there's a little bit of that. I feel that a little bit.
There's
It's
an
like,
idea that it's not synchronous. But let's talk about live streams then, for example. Then, like for me, there's a huge difference because I don't give a fuck about live streams. Twitch has no appeal to me. I don't care about watching some random person playing a game right now where I just tune in at a random interval and just get a weird snapshot. Like that's a shitty way to watch a game.
it
And
it
like
is.
there's no real upside
Yeah.
to it. But like So like my entire activity of watching live streams on YouTube and Twitch is just watching my actual friends. It's a fundamentally different experience because it's like when you walk over to your friend's computer and you just like watch over their shoulder and you chat with them or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's just your actual friend. It's like a fundamentally different interaction than otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I don't. It's definitely a different experience of like if I go digging through fucking Bird's his back channel of content, and then I dig up weird videos to fuck with him over, and be like, haha, I know you made this once. I remember the toilet video. You called it Half-Life 2, but it's actually about toilets.
How dare?
It's
How
like
dare, Bird?
Yeah, it's like a different interaction because you know the people.
Yeah, but you're messing with him in the moment, not in the video. So it's different.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, like, I watch a lot of YouTube, and so it's just like, for me, I engage with it all the same, I suppose. So I think that's one of the reasons why I keep watching you guys' let's plays. Although Andrew doesn't publish much anymore.
No.
And it's just that
He's in his waning phase. It goes back and forth.
Yes.
He
It's
gets
just that
really
it's-
motivated every now and then. He just has to get single again.
No, it's mostly I just have to finish figuring out how to use this new video editor. Is the problem because I switched off of Premiere because I'm like I'm not gonna pay for Adobe anymore. I'm kind of
Oh
done
god.
with it. And so it's
Changing
like I
video
just
editors
replaced.
is awful.
Oh, it's terrifying, but like it's way cheaper. And so
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, well, I'm gonna sit here, and so that's why I've been taking so long, is I'm trying to in my free time, I'm trying to learn how to use this video editing software, and it's better than Premiere, which is like embarrassing. I don't know why it works better than I don't know.
It's fucking
But-
like there was a whole period of time where like Vegas didn't have GPU acceleration, but Premiere did. So like you would render faster and better with Premiere and so on. But it's like, yeah, but I have a workflow. I know what buttons do. Like it's like it reminds me of like when I the one time I tried snowboarding, and it's like if I tried snowboarding from scratch with no context, then maybe I could have taken to it. But but because I tried snowboarding when I already knew how to ski, it's infuriating because you're like, I know how to do this already. Why am I doing it on this other format where it's impossible all of a sudden? Like I already know how to go downhill. And it's like it's agony if you know what you want to do and I just want to do it. What do you mean you need to pre-render or whatever the fuck's happening? Why does splitting a track not work the way I think it does? And everything moved now? And why is it auto closing gaps? And I'm like your fundamental relationship with every element of the app works differently. And you're like, this is not a universal language. You guys did not. This is not like how GIMP just copied Photoshop mostly. Like these things fundamentally went in different directions on how the whole thing works, and you have to take a course
No,
on
it's
it.
very common. It's very common. in video
Meanwhile,
editing.
like
The-
Photopea is just someone saying like, what if I just made Adobe or like Premiere or Photoshop, but without it being $1 million?
and on your browser.
Yeah, it's just,
Photopea, yeah.
it's weird. I don't know. But either way, that has been my delay so far. Is just trying to figure that out. I have all the videos still. It's all just sitting there. Just have to edit it.
Yep. The other thing that I feel still maintains a little bit of detachment is that when we're talking to each other right now, we are talking to each other, and in a video, that communication is more spread out. Like when we record a video, we're
it's
talking
asynchronous, asymmetrical.
No, but not just that. It's
But it's not
for a group of
parasocial because it's
people.
like a real you.
Yeah, I suppose, but in the sense that like it's an open letter
It's
versus
a
a closed letter.
performance, but you also
It's a
know it's a
performance
performance
as well.
and it's a performance by
yeah.
somebody that you know and also perform
Mhm.
with.
Yeah.
It's like watching your friend perform on stage versus
Mm-hmm.
like your interests are fundamentally different than it would be to just be like, oh, you want to go see a stage performance? I'm like, not really.
Yeah, I suppose.
And then you get tricked into watching improv, and then you never talk to that friend again.
Oh, don't
This
do
sounds like
that.
a personal experience. Have you been to
No,
a
that's
friend's improv?
that's just
before?
that's like a universal joke for people that live in like New
Improv-
York or something. I've never been to an improv,
Improv
show.
is I get the improv is a trap because there's no initial investment. What you want, if you want to trap your friends into doing things with you, you need to force them to spend money. and then they will do things with you because they don't want
They have to
to
they have
it's
to
the
justify
fun.
it now.
Yeah, yeah. So like go skiing. It's better than snowboarding. It costs a bunch of money. Do it, and you have friends.
Let's see.
I figure I've never done
Is
skiing.
that cheaper?
What skiing?
Yeah.
No, I meant to say it's better than snowboarding because skiing has a lot more
Oh.
control. Snowboarding is probably just easier. I've never even seen snow. At
What?
least not that I
You've
remember.
never
Yeah,
seen like in real life? You've never seen
real life.
snow at all?
yeah.
It's
At all,
hard.
yeah.
It's relatively hard to see for a lot of people. We live in an unusual situation where we can drive like a few hours to get to Death Valley and a few hours to get to Tahoe.
Yeah,
see
like
that
it's
as
weird.
well.
I can just kind of I can
I
just
can
see
I can
snow
go to
whenever I
snow
want.
to the worst place on the planet to the beach.
I can do
Yeah,
that as well. It's just don't
that's
do
true.
it.
Well,
So
that's
it's
just your
like, yeah.
fault.
Oh yeah, okay, then that's your fault. Yeah, I'm thinking
Yeah.
like, wait
Yeah.
a second, are you like literally unable to find snow? That's so
No,
it
that-
just seems
I
so
think-
rare.
I think 2 to 3 hours drive at not at any part of the year, but like on a normal winter, 2 to 3 hours drive, I see snow, and on particularly cold days, an hour's drive away, I can see snow.
Oh wow, I was on your side and I was wrong. An
You were-
hour away.
Yeah, it's Europe. It's like you're close to everything.
All right. Well, Thomas asks, what's the best Let's Play in your opinion of yours to watch, and also your best co-op one?
Ooh.
I feel like my co-op one has to be Zero Escape.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't
Zero
like
Escape.
best questions in general. I've talked
Zero
about this
Escape's really
before,
good.
but I don't really like best questions because it's like, hey, can you quickly perfect recall your entire life and think of the best answer? Like literally ask me an hour later, I'll have different answers. Like it's just what happens when you ask me what's my best one is I think of the fact that I have 13 million videos or whatever, and then what I do is I think of like 7 examples and pick one of them. Because how do you parse it? I don't. Zenith.
I
Go
think-
watch my Zenith playthrough. Just gonna keep tricking
I don't-
people into watching Zenith and then being like, oh wait, that's actually good.
I think I'm producing the best stuff that I have ever produced. I'm editing all my videos. I am a lot better at knowing what I need to do. So the things that I'm gonna pick from are gonna be the latest Let's Plays. And I think the best Let's Play of mine is my Fallout New Vegas Let's Play. It's because of not just because of what I do as a Let's Player, but the game is really good, and I tried to draw that out as best as I could, and I think I was pretty successful. In terms of co-op, though, it's kind of complicated. I don't know much co-op, so
It's
I'll pass the hot potato to you guys while I think about
Take that, Bumpy.
let's see. Oops. What is the
Colonel's answer is DNQ.
it. No, I will come up with one. I'm just looking through my list.
I'm trying to think like what is the best Let's Play I have? That's tough. I can't even like think of what
It's not
Let's Play
Communist
I
Cat Daddy.
No, it is
Call
not.
back.
Let's see. There's like the problem is there's so many Let's Plays, but I'm trying to think of like what was one that I actually enjoyed and would probably watch myself play again. That's the answer I'm trying to think. I don't know, like Banjo-Kazooie, like one that I like just
Mm.
the most amount of fun I'm having versus the least amount of frustration.
Probably means it did terribly.
Probably. I don't know. I can quickly check.
He's not yelling at this at all. Why am I even here?
Yeah, this Banjo-Kazooie doesn't look like it did very good at all, which is good because it's
Yeah,
just me 100%ing this game without any kind of controversy or issues.
Oh yeah, a lot of
It's
these
just
videos
me.
only have like 100 views.
Yeah, it's only me just
not even
running
old.
around. No, it's not. It's just me having a good time doing.
This is your fault,
doing
audience. You
whatever.
failed him.
Oh, I know what my
He had one chance to be happy, and you didn't make him famous for it.
Yeah, for a game that's like a million years old and I've played 100,000 times before, like it's not even that's definitely one of the issues. Not even a blind playthrough. God, I don't know. I literally am like looking through this list and I'm not seeing anything that'd be like, yeah, you should definitely check that out. I would say like my favorite co-op. I could tell you my favorite co-op one is Perfect Dark. That was a lot of fun.
That was
I felt like
pretty
there
good.
was. I felt like there was so many instances of like rock guy. There's just a lot of, because we're playing on such a difficult, like at such a high difficulty, but also coming back to it after so many years of never playing
torture.
it.
It was great.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was just nightmarish, but it was like fun the whole
Perfect
time.
Dark is so fucking hard.
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh my god.
I don't know what is like. God, now I'm looking at some of these like, you should update these thumbnails, Andrew. They look awful.
I still have some Generation 1 thumbnails and they haunt me.
Yeah.
Like Dragon Age Inquisition.
I'm also seeing like a bunch of like,
and some of the Dark Souls stuff as well.
No, fuck, I can't. I'm just like looking through it. I just go for it.
I'm gonna steal one from you guys. My favorite co-op series that I have personally done, is Dragon Heist, Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah.
That
Baby,
was so
you got
fun.
me all the wet.
That was so fun. And
it's been on my fucking track for like 2 or 3 months now, where I'm like, I'm gonna edit this into some kind of highlight, and it's like, but work though. I had to like condense this event that took 2 hours basically.
Yeah.
Dark's D&D is so fucking great, but it happens so slowly.
I just realized it's also hard to find a single Let's Play that
It's
I
like
enjoyed
EVE
because there's
Online.
not many of them. Most of the Let's Plays on the channel are co-op Let's Plays.
Oh yeah, because
that's
you were kind of like forcing
Yeah.
yourself to try to solo stuff.
Yeah, like I'm like, now I'm looking through. I'm like, wait a second. There's actually like most of the solo content is stuff that, is like, most of it is usually just
so the answer to
walking
when did
simulators
Andrew
or
want to
puzzles.
become a Let's Player is he still doesn't want to.
Yeah, it's like a lot of it is just because like I'm aware of my own limitations. I know that like alone I'm not an entertaining person. I work best in a two-person situation. I am best when I'm like riffing off of somebody else. Alone, I'm just like
I mean,
I don't know.
It was a hard gear to switch. Because the whole reason I
Yeah.
switched to solo stuff was because it was like 2 years in, you were moving to Sacramento, and I'm like, that could be it. Like that might just be the end of that. And at that point, despite the multiple quittings and all that, I was like, then like sunk cost fallacy. Like I got to keep going, even though we had no fucking audience and so on. Like it was literally just that like I'd put like time in and didn't want to just suddenly stop it because somebody else's like choice was like gonna make it end or whatever. So I was like, I'm gonna start uploading solo stuff, and it was awkward and bad, and I hated it most of the time. And then just kind of weirdly powered through.
Let me push back against that, what Andrew just said, that he's not an entertaining person by himself. You, Andrew, you have the most important thing, and you're good at it.
Hate.
But you have the most important thing. Oh, that's the second most important thing. You have the most important thing, which is consciousness about. You're conscious about the rhythm and just sort of like, when like you can see that in your commentary through a whole episode, is that you're conscious about what the person that is listening to is thinking. And I can feel that, because obviously I try to think about that as well. So I don't think you're boring at all when you're by yourself. Like I think you're better when you're you're with others, but that might be the case for all of us. But like I watched the latest Let's Play that I watched of yours was it Banjo-Kazooie?
It's a lot easier to suddenly say something clever if you don't have to keep talking alone the whole time.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like having time to think about what I'm saying, and then I feel bad if I'm quiet because I'm like, the whole point of people watching is because I'm here. Like it's not just for the game. No one's watching me play. Like no one's like watching me play Super Lucky's Tale because they really enjoy Super Lucky's Tale. They're watching it for me, and so like me being quiet at any point is like this like dreadful feeling of like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? This is awful. I should probably be saying something, but there's nothing positive to say. This game is just garbage. Can I just think of something that's not just being critical of the game?
The longer the silence stretches for,
Like,
the more you panic.
Yeah, like it just gets worse and worse. Like Honey Pop was this great, like for me, just constantly devolving where I'm like, I know I'm being bad. I know it's not funny. I know it's not entertaining, and I hate doing this. But also, God, I hate this game. And like I cannot get my brain just can't like
Mm-hmm.
it's like a false start. Every time you try to rev the keys to turn the engine over and it doesn't work because there's no gas in the car. And like no matter how hard you click the keys over, you'll never get the car
And then you're,
started.
then you're
And
worried
that's
about
like
getting like repetitive with your complaining, but it's like,
yeah.
well, I complain about it, but then it doesn't go away, and it keeps happening, and it colors the entire experience
And
for every minute of the many hours, and it's like, how could I not bring it
and
up occasionally and not
and
just be
so
like,
the
that was once, that's it for now.
And so it's especially like Honey Pop's such a good example, or Honey Pop 2 specifically is such a good example because it like I kept thinking that where people are like, you're just you're just nitpicking, complaining about stupid shit. You're just saying the same stuff. It's like fine, all right. So I just sat down and like every time I end the recording, I would think of like 100 things I hated, and I would like try to
It
get
would
rid of the
be
things.
worse.
Yeah, like I try to think of the things I already said and then go like, okay, cool. Next episode, I've got this many things to complain about. And then that episode would have more things. Like now I have new things to and like the whole series is just me basically ripping every single millimeter of the series until there's like nothing left of it and being like, yeah, this is just from top to bottom unsalvageable garbage. But then like the end of the Let's Play as I'm editing it, I'm like, I would never watch this. This is just the worst possible content ever. I hate all of this. I didn't want to do this, but like I couldn't. But in
But
the
people
moment, like the
kept
first
watching it.
episode, for some reason, but in the first episode, I was like, I really just want to enjoy this. I just want to do it. In the second episode, I was like, maybe I can get through it if I just like kind of pretend like it's funny. And then the third episode is like, I don't know who wrote this, but it is just a slight to all of humanity, and I can never forgive it. And I just have to do something that isn't just sitting here and like consuming poop. Like I have to pretend that there's just not poop on my spoon, and there is, and it's everywhere. And God, it's just gross. And just stop doing this. And like,
That was the
but
struggle of playing Cyberpunk.
yeah, oh God, yeah.
Oh,
Like
Honey Pop is
I
worse than Cyberpunk.
that is-
It's like
No,
how
no,
do I
that's-
not? Well, it's just like the idea of like how many things do I notice that I choose not to comment on? When you're
That's
going
why-
through the
that's why I
experience?
That's why I live streamed all of Cyberpunk, because there was no way. Like, there was no way I could have beaten that game if I didn't do that. Because every waking moment was like, why is my car combined with another car like 50 feet off the sky? How did this happen? Why is it doing this? Is this real? And then you turn around and you're like, oh, half the map didn't load. Like, you'll just
Oh
you'll
no!
get destroyed.
Impactful main character death. Oh, he's ragdolling outside the car now.
It's it's just like
I'm so
It
immersed.
keeps
Oh, it's a suicide.
tripping.
The
It's
weapon
like
is in
somebody. Yeah, it literally feels like someone tripped, fell down the stairs, and then you start realizing the stairs don't end, and you're like, oh God, this is just gonna keep going. They're never gonna not trip downstairs, and then like as it keeps going, you start realizing they're also just like crumbling into less of a person, and you're like, oh no, it's just a blob falling down the stairs. Like you get to the end of the game, you're like, how did I get here? It's just full of broken shards of like whatever it thought it was at the beginning. Like it's not even a game by the time you get to the end. It's just this like a mess. Like someone just was like, okay, just sweep it under the rug and hope that no one thought about the last 40 hours of the game you played.
There's like a certain
I,
thought of like how video games or even anime often end with like this crazy like, wow, the characters are like floating in abyss, and now we're gonna monologue about what this is all about, and like, was anything real? And like, it's like so crazy. Like you get into like maximum reveal mode essentially. That's often in like some kind of weird ethereal liminal space or some shit. Like near Automata or something. But like there's a similar arc when you just play an astonishingly bad game, because a bad game usually gets even worse near the end, and it starts to feel that level, like you're on that level, but accidentally, or like the world's disappearing around you. But yeah, did you have more to say about Dragon Heist? Because we did went on a big tangent from there.
Yeah. Sorry, go for that.
No, I was just saying that it was the best. It's good. Go and watch it. It's fun. We were answering the other
Do it.
question though.
It was
Do it.
murdered by
Didn't we
COVID to death.
I
COVID
don't know
killed
what-
Dragon
yeah.
Heist.
I
Didn't
don't
we
know what.
switch?
Oh yeah, that did.
Didn't we switch to another question though?
Did we? I don't
no.
even know what question we're on. What question are we
still-
still on? It's
Andrew,
still on the
please
best-
tell me you're going to carry on playing Subnautica.
I have like so. I have so many episodes. Subnautica has been hard. I like you talked about earlier today, Keith. I lost a huge chunk of progress because I forgot to save because the game
Oh, I
doesn't
saw
auto
that.
save, and I'm so Subnautica. I'm doing really, really, really good at not being angry at times. If I feel like I'm getting angry, I just say, "All right, that's it. I'm gonna cut the recording. I'm gonna move on and just don't play it until I stop being mad at the game." But it is so hard to recover because I'm at this point where I need this one thing that I found in that save that got lost, and now I just cannot move forward in the game until I get that. And I cannot find it. Every time I play for an hour, I cannot find the stupid item again. And I'm like, I just keep getting more mad where I'm like, why? Why would you? It is literally made in an era where autosaving has just been the bare minimum at this point. Like, we have, like,
It is
way
weird that the game
past.
doesn't have like a rolling autosave in parallel.
We have way past the point in which not adding an autosave is just a weird
like basically
choice.
basically every game should have like
unless you're
like
and I get it if you're like a
manual save slots and one like rolling autosave slot.
Yeah, like I
And
get
a
it
quick
if
save
you
slot.
want to I get it if you want to do this for like an aesthetic purpose. You know, like if you have a
Like it's
I don't
Resident
know,
Evil
you
and
have
you have to save in safe rooms.
Yeah, exactly. Like if there's a
With
mechanical
Subnautica,
place
you can
that you're
save
supposed to
literally
save,
anywhere.
just why don't you autosave every time I go into my stupid building? Like, why wouldn't that just be the trigger? It's like I go into a building with oxygen, save. Like that's it. That done. You just autosave every time you go into any building with oxygen in it. Because otherwise you could kill yourself if you autosave into like a no oxygen zone and you have no oxygen on you. But like I don't know, it's so frustrating, and I have a bunch of episodes I still need to finish editing, and I keep trying to play it, but like the more that I can't find this one crucial piece, the more I just keep like narrowingly getting less and less invested in playing it. But I'm trying my best to keep playing it. So it's
Maybe we'll talk about that later, and I can double check
Yeah.
what the thing was or whatever. But I don't know what it is.
yeah.
Hey folks, looking for insight. How do you deal with the challenges of striking a balance with commentary so you don't fall into the trap of observational what's going on in game, keeping organic? Wait, that sentence stopped making sense.
Yes, it did.
I think they
Halfway
meant to
through.
say like I think they meant to say that what's going on in game / keeping it organic rather than dash.
If
I
you
don't know
if
why
you
I
look
did
at my
that.
comment section, the answer seems to be that I haven't.
Yes, mine as well. I will literally pause press escape to ramble for 5 minutes
Yeah.
midway through a cutscene if I need to, and I do it like
absolutely. I'll just stop
wholeheartedly.
the game completely to talk about something. Like immediately, Dead Space had podcast moments where I would just stand in the safe room for a while and talk. And it's like people complain about that stuff, but it's like, do you want the thought to be expressed or not? Because like in my early days, I lived this where I would like try to say my sentence, but then get interrupted by something happening in the game over and over again, and you just exhaustingly hear me try to restart the same thought like 12 times over the course of like 10 minutes, and it's like that's way worse. Just let me fucking. It's actually. I think it's just better to stand still and talk about the thing if there's something to talk about. The people that complain, I think, are usually just kind of like there for the wrong reasons, because they're the type of people that will usually tell me to shut up or that I say I talk too much in general. It's like, okay, you're just not here for me. Then that's not my problem.
I honestly get a lot of love from my community in regards to my rambling characteristics, but I do get comments every once in a while of people complaining about. Like I got one recently that I just found hilarious, because the person apparently did not know that it was what a let's play was. And I just explained that I do live commentary. Or I mean, I suppose you can have let's plays without live commentary, but they just said, "Oh, good for you. You found your niche." And my niche is role playing games. It isn't necessarily let's plays aren't the niche, but it's usually like people who are. The problem with let's plays is that sometimes you name a video in a way that is very helpful for people who are trying to figure out how to beat a certain part of a game, and then they just arrive looking for a walkthrough, and then you're rambling about capitalism or something, and they're just like, "Oh, it's very useful video, but could you cut back on your monologue or something?" And I think that's the most kickback I personally get.
Oh yeah, no. There's constant complaining of people complaining that your let's play is a bad walkthrough, and it's like the title doesn't mention walkthrough. There are multiple genres. I don't know if you've noticed yet. There's different reasons people upload video game footage. It's like complaining that a
Yeah.
live stream's a bad walkthrough. It's like, I'm sorry, we're trying to just catch it live and play your game in parallel, and that's your one chance to get a good walkthrough. Like, it's a misuse of the format at some point.
Oh yeah. I think I've mentioned. I don't know who said it the first time. I didn't come up with it, but somebody in my audience commented that my alignment is chaotic ramble, and I think that is brilliant, amazing. I love it forever. And so thank you so much to whoever came up with that. And yeah, it's just how it goes. How it goes.
Yeah, I don't.
What about you, Andrew? Do you not like rambling?
I do ramble, but I think I usually try to react. Again, I'm trying to find that the secondary. I use what's going on in the world as like a jump pad to reactions or reacting and trying to like talk about something organically. Like if something is happening, I'll say like, oh, that's weird. Why? I wonder why that's happening. Is it because of this or is it because of that? But
Mhm.
usually it's I always try to avoid being, obviously being obvious like, wow, I found a gun. That's cool. I like guns. But there are times where like games just don't provide you anything, no stimulation, no nothing besides the next little like thing. And so there's nothing to say sometimes where you're just walking through a game and you're just like, well, I guess this is a game. Okay, cool. But like I also don't want to just repeat reactions to stuff. If something happens again, I'm not going to be like, oh, cool, a sword. Oh, cool, a sword. Like I don't want to keep saying that. But so usually if nothing's happening, I'll just that will be my bridge point to say like a complaint about something like, huh, it's kind of just the same shit happening every day, isn't it? Like I wonder if I'm just in like a rut, I'm doing something wrong, or like I don't know. I usually just try to turn dead space into not the game, but try to turn any dead space and
Oh, right.
commentary into like a self-reflection point. Like maybe I fucked up. Maybe I'm missing something. Like it shouldn't probably be this empty. There should probably be something happening. Or if I'll do the thing what Keith does. If like I really want to talk about something that's bothering me, I'll just find a spot to stop moving in and just say like, God, what is going on?
You know when you're getting to the good part of the Zero Time Dilemma series when we start pausing during the cutscene.
Yeah. I did like
Yeah.
the comment of something like, "Oh, I hope they don't figure out you can pause in the cutscenes." Like, like you just haven't got to that point yet.
What games or
That's
types of
what-
games have you guys not been able to cover that you still want to try to get in the future? Well, I mean, games specifically, I have a fucking spreadsheet of like 1,000 of them. That's just the basic of like, you just like, I would like to cover that. Oh, I don't. You just being aware of releases in indie and AAA spaces and being like, yeah, that's on the list. That's a thing I'd want to cover. And then you just keep adding them as they come out. Like that seems like a good candidate. And then like you get to cover like 1/6 of them because that's just how logistically it works. If you like play all these games and finish your playthroughs and so on, like it takes too long. You can't cover everything. But
Yeah.
like genres or whatever, or types of games, MMORPGs and Zachtronic games. Like whenever you look on How Long to Beat, every Zachtronic game is horrifyingly long. Like Space Chem and not Satisfactory, something Factory set. What's the 3D Zachtronic game where you
Factorio?
make things out of
Factorio?
shit?
Is
No.
Is that no? I don't know Zachtronic. I need to look it
Yeah.
up.
He makes these like build your own solution puzzle games where it's like a
Oh,
factory type thing.
Yeah. Crap, I know what game you're talking about. I have that.
Opus Magnum and Space Chem and like like 6 other ones, except
Infinifactory.
Infinifactory. There you go.
Yeah,
Like
Infinifactory.
I want to cover those games. I don't care about the coding ones. I'm not a coder, so I'm just out. Like by default, it's just like those games are for fucking Andrew and Bird to let's
You
play
play
if they
Baba
want
Is
to.
You?
That's not. No, I mean like
That's like
fucking
coding.
actual coding though. Like
Easy.
I'll play Human Resource Machine, but like no, like you like I tried. I did a let's try of like TIS
Oh, you
100
did?
or whatever
Okay.
it's called, and it's like you gotta fucking. It comes with a book.
Oh,
You gotta
no.
read the book to figure out how to play the game. Like it's just coding puzzles for people that actually code, and coding is why I stopped the entire trajectory of doing computer science, and then because I want to be a game developer and so on, and so I took computer science, and I'm like, nope, and then I switched to geology. Because of the actual
Oh, yeah.
reality of trying to fucking solve why your code isn't working is like a life I don't want.
Coding games fascinate me because it feels like, I don't know. I can't say I've ever played any in particular. I did play some like graphic coding, because there's a very different style of coding where you just move pieces around. That's a type of coding, a type of programming. So
Yeah,
it's
the
just
fun
graphic.
one.
But it's still the same logic. So you need to come up with the same solutions. But there's the code based, the written based coding and programming.
I mean, your verbs
the
are
thing
way
is-
more restricted in the visual game, like the video gamey ones, than they are when when they
Yeah.
just like fuck you type.
But yeah, and it's easier it's easier to, because you're constrained. It's easier to learn and just go through a process of learning functions after functions and just mixing them together. But the thing is, coding in JavaScript is like, it's about as complicated as other languages. It's actually more complicated in some aspects, but in the sense of like getting you to a place where you'll know how to code, you can just pick up JavaScript with anything. Like, you just open it's super easy for people to start learning. And I don't know. I think the coding games are just a way to get people to code that maybe wouldn't have coded if nobody got them to. But it also feels like it's scary. It's just as scary as learning to code JavaScript. I'm talking about JavaScript because that's what websites use, and so it's you don't really need to have any special setup. All you need to do is really just have a notepad and save the file as HTML, and that's it. And open it in your browser. That's it. You're off. And the thing is, you're also creating interesting things. You can create animations. You can create little games. You can do all the things that coding allows you to in a normal, productive world, but you're doing new things rather than just playing a game. I don't know. It's a little bit like the Guitar Hero. It's not quite, but it is a little bit like learning Guitar Hero instead of learning real guitar. But it's not quite, because Guitar Hero is more fun than learning the real guitar. So, and also easier. But
I mean, I
But
think
it's a
in
little
both
bit like that.
cases, the fake one is more fun and easier.
you think so?
Yeah. Human Resource
me,
Machine is funner and easier than learning Java. I know, because I did both.
But
it was a few
I meant
semesters.
JavaScript.
Yeah,
not
but
Java.
I was a few semesters into Java, and I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
fuck this. I never want to look at this again. I'm done with this life. Goodbye.
That's a
Yeah.
pretty normal reaction to Java.
I value the creative process though, so that's why I'm musing about it like I am. It's just that after you're done learning, you have the tools to make stuff, but also you have made stuff. Like, I think that's important. But I say that being a person who knows how to code, so it's just
Yeah.
it's and that actually ties a little bit into games that I would like to cover, but I'm never gonna cover with my channel, which is more
Programming?
creative games. No, I was thinking. I always think of Minecraft, but it's not just Minecraft. Minecraft is a very creative game if you play it in like a normal Let's Player,
Yeah.
or most Let's Players play Minecraft. And I think having an audience that's ready to see what you have made over the course of the last week or the last day is it must be really rewarding, because I mean, it also can be really
It's like
scary, I
it's
imagine.
basically Durf's channel, I think.
Mhm.
He just like
He's-
makes things in scrap mechanic and then
Scrap
makes
Mechanic, yeah.
content out of it.
Yeah, and I think that must be super rewarding. Of course, as I said, very scary as well if you get in a rut where you can't think of anything to make. But it's just something that, as a Let's Player, I rarely get to do, is show creativity, or because it's always reactive. We're always showing somebody else's creativity, and the closest I've gotten was with our D&D campaign. And I've made a few videos here and there where I show creativity, and those videos do well. Like, I have one where I show a map that I made of a made up world, and I explain my process of making that map. And for some reason, that has thousands of views. That video, it just gets new people to the channel for whatever reason. But
Gimmicks are good.
the
There's a lot of examples where someone's most popular video on their Let's Play channel is the one where they took a weird risk or tried a weird like gimmicky approach to something, and it just was like, especially if it's like thumbnail marketable. Like I got like a BDSM looking thumbnail for Firewatch where he has black tape over his mouth, and it's called Silent Henry, and it's just the one where I don't pick any choices ever, unless the game forces me to pick one to continue. And so he just sits there and like just keeps talking to him, and he's not reacting for the entire game, and it changes the characterization of the game and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had the idea of like doing like it would take so fucking long, but it was the idea of like having either two people or maybe even more people like going through the Hitman games, and what would like the new trilogy. And like you would, because one of the core replay values is supposed to be that one of the core elements of the game is supposed to be that you don't just play the levels, you like replay them over and over again and get different things to happen. So it'd become this like one-upmanship of like 2 to 4 people are all hanging out watching each other play the game, and there's like a different order of who plays the missions in what order each time. And like you just trying to one up whatever the last guy did because you saw them play the mission, and you're like, well, I got this idea now, and like you get like 4 different playthroughs by 4 different people of each level or something. But it'd be like, what a fucking nightmare to organize, and what a monstrously long series that would be to like just like dominate your channel for like 6 months.
Also, I imagine it would require heavy editing because a lot of the stuff, because it's replayed, you just need to go for the highlights.
And of course, MMOs are just so time consuming.
But that's I think that's the kind of that's the only creativity we're sort of allowed to have, is the having a gimmick for a Let's Play. Like the closest I've gotten with my Let's Plays is this Fallout 3 that I'm playing right now, where I edit it in a way that basically the game doesn't have any combat. And I got to a point where in the storyline where you meet this radio host, and he talks in a really self-important way, and he talks specifically about super mutants. And because in my game the super mutants aren't aggressive, and they don't fight me. They fight the Brotherhood of Steel and fight other things, but they don't fight me specifically. His tone completely changes, and he's just a what's the name of that guy that died of COVID? What was that guy that?
What?
What was the name?
I mean,
I'm trying to think of
a few million people, I believe.
A few, yeah. No, that right-wing radio host.
A few dozen of those so far.
But basically he's like he comes across as a super propaganda-filled sort of tell it like it is, let's make this great again sort of kind of radio host in the Let's Play, because of the way I'm editing it, and because and canonically as well in Fallout, because the super mutants are just they're just people, and in Fallout 3 they're treated as subhuman, and the way he talks is just super racist basically, and he's just talking about the people of the wasteland. I'm the voice of the people of the wasteland and all that, and that's the creativity. That's why the reason I'm talking about this is because I think that is the result of my own editing. And the end result is a little bit creative on my part, because I'm editing the game in a way that changes it fundamentally. And that's the most I get of creativity. I don't think it's very common in other Let's Plays, because it's just always reactive.
Let's see. What games or types of games have you not been able to cover that you'd still? No, wait, that's the same one. There's a similar one, and I mixed them up. Are there games that you like playing that you don't think would work for a Let's Play or for similar content at all? Most things just work. The secret is you plaster over bad Let's Play games by just hanging out with other people.
Rhythm games are also good.
Oh yeah, no, music games are fucked. Yeah, you're fucked on music games.
I was gonna say Keith really likes rhythm games, but you'll never know, because he can literally never play a single one without risking his channel to death.
Yeah, no, my channel has kind of killed my activity at playing music games all the time. I used to play so much fucking Rock Band and so on, and to the point. And when Rock Band 4 came out, I tried streaming it on Twitch a little bit, and I was in pain. it hurt to play the game because I was so out of practice. So I was still
Oh.
good enough to mostly play expert, but because I hadn't been actually actively doing it for years, that like I had been, like my fingers were really struggling to actually do it. Like I'd play a couple songs and just be in agony, and it would hurt so much.
Hmm.
And it was the
Yeah.
fretting hand, not the strumming hand. It's just like
What?
fuck.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the fretting hand that's
doing all the
the
fingering, it would really hurt. The fingering.
hardest. Phrasing.
Phrasing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then there's just like grindy games. There's some. I guess it's hard to say games you like because it's games that you fucking. They're like less games you like and more games that you just kind of like permit and weirdly keep going back to for some reason because it has its like manipulative hooks into you. But like a game like Warframe or Diablo or World of Warcraft or so on are games that you just like you kind of just play out of a weird habit and you keep going back to them. And if you do try to let's play them at all, you pretty much just have to get a group of people together and just like shoot the shit and whatever in a way that where the game doesn't matter because the game is just so unengaging.
Hmm. Yeah, I think all games you can. I'm at the point where I can let's play any game. It's just that some games require a lot more effort or circumstances that I might not have access to, like maybe an MMO. I couldn't organize an MMO let's play. I don't have experience with games, and I don't know anybody like a group that I would be able personally to collect. I could hang on to another group easily enough, but there's games that just require more editing than others, and if you're gonna go with a unedited approach, I don't think there's some games that are impossible. Like I mentioned before that my favorite let's play is Fallout New Vegas, but that is one game that I couldn't do a let's play that isn't edited, that isn't cut down in some aspect form, because it's just a game that requires you to it has dead time effectively. There's a exploration that isn't necessarily engaging in the way that is good for a video, so it's easy to get like one or two episodes where nothing happens and it isn't interesting. And even games like I did a full Morrowind let's play that was not edited, but I did it because I knew the game back front to back, and I knew where to go. I knew how to make
Yeah,
it work.
I don't think mine was very edited, but
No, you do
there's
have
like a
you
there's
have
like
a
a
different.
blind experience appeal
Mhm.
where it's like editing sometimes removes the point of that. It's
But you
variable.
also you didn't do many side quests, which helped a lot, because
Yeah.
otherwise you would have a lot of that time.
I kind of just
And
did what
I did all the
found, I
things.
think.
Yeah, yeah, it
'Cause
works.
the
I think it worked very well in as a blind
because
playthrough.
there's like a certain style of playing games that's antithetical to let's playing, which is the part that you sometimes people expect you to do it too, where you just fucking scrape up and down every single piece of like you just talk to every single character in the entire open world and scrape every single piece of content out of the game you could possibly find. And it's like one doing that systematically is just like so boring, but also like in my experience I try to get into a habit in RPGs to find a quest and then just go do that quest. Like stop, like maybe stop looking, stop like doing your sweep of talking to everybody and just go do the quest you found, because then like this episode has like narrative continuity and people remember what you're
Mhm.
doing, as opposed to like I picked up 72 quests like in like in an MMORPG at the quest hub, and now I'm just gonna run to like 12 random locations and complete the second half of stories that you forgot already.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
it's weird presenting games as a linear video format fundamentally changes them, and you spend a lot of time thinking about how to do that differently.
yeah. It definitely changes from game to game. I think that's one approach where just going with the flow that is meant for a let's play, that definitely works, and I think it worked well for Morrowind. But it's something I'm scared of, honestly, doing myself. So I tend to I shied away from doing uh, a game like Fallout New Vegas, despite wanting to make a let's play of it early on, and even
Oh
Fallout 3
yeah.
right now. I shied away from that in Oblivion, and certainly Skyrim. I have never let's played Skyrim.
There's like a very real
Um,
part where you feel like you're not ready yet. Like
yeah.
uh the two things I knew I would not let's play when I started my channel were RPGs and puzzle games. Those were like
Oh.
Yeah.
they were like off the table at the beginning. Like big open RPGs as opposed to like dark. Like I started with Demon Souls, because like yeah, it's this massive open area, and like how do you cover that in a timely fashion? How do you make the moment to moment stuff interesting and so on? And puzzle games are obviously because you dabble with one puzzle game once, and every Let's Player has the universal experience where all the comments are just yelling at them, and they're like, "Oh, I guess I shouldn't cover puzzle games because people don't like puzzle game videos. Because if you cover puzzle games, people just yell at you." And now I practically make a living out of playing puzzle games, and it hasn't changed. It's still just my comments sections like dashboard is just people yelling at me at every puzzle game all at once. And it makes the comment section really shitty. And yet it's like why people are here, and it does, and they do.
But
really
engagement.
Well. Yeah.
I have mentioned it before. I don't know if it was on a podcast, but regarding puzzle games, anybody that has the least interest of Sudoku games, go and check out Cracking the Cryptic. It's a channel, it's a famous channel of two world-class Sudoku solvers solving Sudoku puzzles on camera live, and they're really good at what they do. They're really good at also solving the puzzles, and they're world class. They're like championship winners. They're record setters and stuff. And they're also very good at explaining and all that. They're incredible at what they do. And you look at their comment section, in especially the most viewed videos, because the ones that have fewer views tends to be the people who already know them. But even those get so many people just being like, I can't believe you didn't see that 6 on cell 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's so obvious that of course they didn't see it.
People will just sort of like douchily armchair the best people in the world at the thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like if these people get those kind of comments, and they do,
yeah,
then nobody stands any hope. It's the nature of watching somebody solve a puzzle. It's the
you get to feel really smart watching puzzle Let's Plays because you're cheating, because you're what happens is the video continues forward and makes progress no matter how hard you're trying. So the progress is just happening on its own, and I'm solving stuff for you constantly, and your brain just internalizes that as stuff that you learned yourself, basically. And then everything that you're picking up on because you don't have to do any of the work that I'm doing, you're like, how could you not pick up on those things that I'm picking up on because I'm not even actually having to deal with. Like, people always talk about the Let's Player problem of like you're having to do commentary and all that, and that's true. But it's also the fact that the viewer isn't having to do all the work because the Let's Player is doing most of the puzzle solving work for them. It's not like people like pause the video and then watch it in pure silence, and also time themselves to see how long it takes while they're watching it in silence, and then like, I solved it all in my head. They're watching it while you're telling them the answers with the progress you're making, and then like, how did you not notice that one element? That's why you're stupid. And
making commentary at the same time.
And that just tells everybody that just communicates to the Let's Players not to cover that content. Like, you're just damaging the thing that you supposedly like.
And also, I think you're also spoiling our enjoyment if you come at it with that perspective. It's so rare that I see a video from Cracking the Cryptic where I don't see anything before they solve it. And I don't think those are the most enjoyable puzzle solving videos, where you just go and watch somebody solve a puzzle and you didn't see any of it coming. I think it's always more fun when you see things in advance and it's like, oh, how are they gonna spot that? But I like, that's part of the fun. You spotting things before the solver, and it can be frustrating. It for sure is, but you need to embrace that as well.
How is it frustrating? I guess that's the thing that always confuses me, is that like you're not losing anything by their failure to solve the puzzle. Like, if you don't enjoy watching them solve a puzzle, then like, why are you here?
What I'm trying to say is that the feeling that people get isn't unearned. Like, it's real. It's a real feeling that people feel. They're frustrated by seeing something before the Let's Player, and then the Let's Player not seeing it. But what I'm saying is that feeling of frustration needs to be embraced because it's part of the fun. It's not something that you need to take out on the Let's Player. It's just something that it's part of the process of watching somebody solve a puzzle. And if you need to skip a little bit, I do that every once in a while. I skip a little bit to the front before they figure it out, and that's it. I'm having a lot more fun. 3 minutes into the video. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I just always think of it like horror movies, where every horror movie is
Don't
built
go in there.
around. Yeah, it's all built around like the stupidest possible options that you could ever take in a situation. But like that's on purpose because then you as the audience are like tensely aware of their failure and you're like, no, 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 you're gonna fucking die. Don't die. But like that's the point. That's like the whole point. And I imagine like solving puzzles is the same thing. Watching other people solve puzzles is supposed to be the same outcome. Where like you see someone, you're like, no, 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 don't put
Yeah,
the
they're
thing
gonna
there, God, you're gonna fuck it up. And then like they
if you're
fuck it
gonna
up, they're
watch
like,
them.
oh, I think I fucked it up, and you're like, yep, that's what was gonna happen. But like,
But also,
it's
if you're watching
yeah,
a video, they solved it. It's not like they're gonna publish a video of them failing to solve a
maybe.
puzzle.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
there, I didn't solve every puzzle in the witness, and I can tell you why. Because some puzzles
Oh.
I just walked away from. I was like, nah, I'll just let this puzzle exist, and hope that it never gets solved. Hope that no one on the internet ever solves it, and it can just sit here in its disgusting failure. The
No, people solved the witness.
Oh, I
100%.
know they did. I know because my comment section was very very polite about my impossibility of solving puzzles in the witness, which is like, okay. I don't I don't know what you think puzzle games are supposed to be, but the no, I think yeah, I agree with you, Colonel. I think the idea is that you're supposed to be frustrated by watching people solve puzzles because that otherwise just go solve puzzles yourself. If you don't enjoy watching people solve puzzles, then go solve the puzzle. Like, why are you doing this? It's like,
I mean, if it's
I
a
don't know.
one-off, like watching somebody solve a Rubik's Cube in 6 seconds, that's a one-off thing, and it's a fun little gimmick. And I suppose it's okay. You didn't see any of it, but, you watch somebody solve a Rubik's Cube. And the same is for watching a speedrun of The Witness or something, and you didn't see any of it coming. I mean, but that was it. Just the thing is, if you
It's
make a
interesting how
habit of
there's like
watching...
there's the tug of war between personality and gimmick and all that, where there's certain people that like it feels like everybody knows about them sometimes, like, oh, the guy that beat Dark Souls with bananas, but like
yeah,
a lot of that content is like so gimmicky and so not personality driven that I'm like, huh, like I don't even like watch the run. I just like, you just greatest hits it a little bit. You open the video, you skip to like Ornstein and Smo and Gargoyles or something, and then you're like, oh, that's funny anyway. Like, because like it's like a 6-hour thing oftentimes, and it's not actually entertaining to watch all the way through. It's just entertaining to know that it exists. But the idea of
It's
like
a little bit...
watching the entire video, let alone like watching that content creator long term, is like incomprehensible by comparison.
It's a little bit like speedruns. Only the fastest speedruns are enjoyable to watch, really, because there's a lot of games where speedruns take a whole day.
Yeah.
And those aren't enjoyable. They're just there because
yeah.
need
You only
proof
want to
of
watch the
completion.
run where they succeed. You don't want to watch like
Yeah.
the 50 attempts that fail because
And even then, you just
That's a
watch
real
the...
particular climate. Yeah, the people that stream their daily speedrun attempts like all the time
Oh, yeah.
are like, oh, you better luck this game because you're gonna see it a lot this month.
But that's the thing too, is I think people are also there to be a part of something.
They want to
So,
see
like,
history.
yeah, like you want to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
there when the guy like figures out that you can no scope do a thing and no one else has done it before, and everybody's like, "Oh, I was there for that." It's like the Twitch plays Pokemon. Like, why do you want to watch millions of people fail to play Pokemon for hours? Like, it's not as if Twitch plays Pokemon was like the most riveting piece of entertainment.
Yeah, people often
it's
engage
literally
in
just
something
like,
where the actual moment to moment isn't interesting, but like the meta narrative is like fun to like
Yeah.
experience, which I think explains literally the entirety of Pokemon Go's success, because it was never a good game, ever.
no, but it was fun
And,
to
like,
it was fun to be a
I've
part
come
of the
in
hype.
and out of
yeah.
it a few times now, but like it was never actually a good game on any level.
It was barely a game in a lot of for a lot of...
And the most
of its
gamey
life,
part,
I
like the
suppose.
combat, is fucking miserable. My least favorite part of the game is the most video gaming part of it. It's
Yeah.
like I just use it as an excuse to walk around basically and be like, wow, I got an RNG whatever the fuck thing, a Vaporeon, look at me go. But like, it's a bad game, but like it had a meta narrative to it, and it was fun to talk about like what it was that was weird. And so I guess that's how you get
Mhm.
Twitch plays Pokemon and like salty bets and stuff like that, because like it's not like
At least salty bets.
entertaining.
I feel like at least salty bets, you kind of get a meaty. There is a small amount where you can contribute to there.
Yeah.
Like if you want to invest the time, you can create a fighter and put them in, which is like, I don't know. You're kind of like you can kind of at least change the course of something. But yeah, like betting, just like it's like horse racing. You're like, I don't. Does this matter? Me watching the horse doesn't change anything,
God,
and like
Salty
me
Bets
putting money
just
on the horse.
got in that sentence without me processing that it was coming out, and I'm like, wow, Salty Bets. I haven't thought about that in years.
I love Salty
Does
Bets.
it still exist?
Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's only gotten a bigger roster with more ridiculous betting mechanics, and like it's great. Sometimes I'll just have it sitting there playing while I'm working. I'll just have it sitting
Yeah.
on there, and I'll be like, those two fighters look kind of garbage. I'll vote on that one. It's just, but yeah, it's yeah.
Keith, what's the next video essay you're working on for the Boring Keith channel? I don't fucking know. It's not for
Done.
lack of
It's-
ideas. That was never going to be the
channel's dead now.
problem. The problem is I'll just get deep into a project and then I'll start hating it, or I'll have doubts about it, or other problems will be coming up. And I'm like, I've got like various problems with how I do stuff that also need to be worked out to some extent. But like my big project I wanted to get done all the way back in June was the Beastars video essay. And I even commissioned art for it for like a joke and so on. Like I was that far in my head on certain aspects of it. But then like trying to flesh out the whole thing is just a lot. And like going from talking about a movie to talking about a show that's 2 seasons long is just so much more material, and I get way more. I see how good other people's videos are, and I'm like, I have to be so into this, and I have to like go through the season multiple times and take notes about like what happened in each episode, about these multiple through lines that I want to discuss. And I'm going through I'm rereading the manga, and I'm putting colored bookmarks into the pages based on the different through lines, so I can reference those parts, because there's different parts that are available in the manga versus the anime that are either presented different or literally just don't happen in the anime. But there's also like aspects of like, it's like there's the overwhelming nature of the scope of that project, but there's also like other parts of like how I'm going to talk about the queer subtext of this thing, and it's like, well, now I have to really carefully do all of this right, because I'm worried that I'll like accidentally put something harmful into the world and like fuck this up and like say something insensitive, or like do this all wrong in some way. And I get into my head about like the contrasting ideas of like, what is the difference between queer analogy, queer subtext, and queer baiting, and like the different aspects of that, and which of these are harmful and which things are discussing, and like which elements of queer coding do and don't reinforce harmful stereotypes, and the idea of analyzing stuff via queer coding, is that bad in itself? And like I've gotten so many fucking layers deep that like I grow resentful of the idea of it and go in and out of other stuff. And then I was like, I'm just gonna write this monster. I'm gonna just write a stupid rant about the Monster Hunter movie and make an easy one just to keep the channel alive. And then I'm like, fuck, I'm writing way too much about this. And also like I keep losing motivation about writing about it, and like I find myself able to just like walk in circles and rant about it, but then when I try to write about it, I can't. So I'm like, am I just gonna? But I got a DSLR. Like I got a stupid prop desk
Oh,
I can
yeah?
sit at, and I got a DSLR, and like I'm all like set up to make better videos, because when I made the Annihilation video, it was like 50 minutes of I did record footage, but it would look so bad that I didn't use it. So I had to fill 50 minutes with visuals that featured none of me, and you really get to realize why so many video essayists have footage of them sitting there or standing in front of a screen or something and talking, because there's just a large stretches of videos where you're like, I want this thought to get out, but I don't, like, I can't like keep cutting to random 6-second clips to keep ahead of the copyright bot the entire time. So like you just want to be able to cut to like yourself talking for the part where there isn't a specific relevant visual to show in that moment. So like I got some of that stuff set up, but like I don't know if I'll just do a Monster Hunter like easier video where I just like bullet point some of my points and then just like rant in front of the camera and then edit it down or something, and then turn that into a quote unquote video essay. Because like to some extent it was like, oh, this will be an easy one, but then it's like there's too much type of stuff to talk about it, so it's not like a quick throwaway thing like the Zelda video was, where it'll be done in a day. But it's like, is it worth scripting out thousands of words about this stupid trash movie? Like I see myself doing what's practically like the nostalgia critic thing, or some like the fucking like age-old genre of like white guy is performatively indignant about a media franchise on camera for fun and whatnot. And it's like, to some extent, working too hard on it feels like a waste.
Hmm.
But I've also like I've
Yeah.
started like 6 essays, and they're all in different stages of uh, me hating them and wanting to start them over, or me realizing that I just went on a self-indulgent rant about something because it felt good and not because it's necessarily the most interesting analysis of the video necessarily, or who knows. Uh, my Beastars essay in particular, which is like it's probably like 8,000 words long in the most recent form, is like the third draft where I just started over again. It's really
Wow.
it's fucking hard. Like it's so fucking complicated. It was
This
way
is like,
easier just to talk about the themes of a movie and with Annihilation, where in particular, like all I was doing was watching the movie a few times and paying attention and then googling a few things and being like, "Well, that's interesting." Like all I like it's you're not you get second-hand clever fumes like smoking if you just look at a clever person's movie and then pay attention to it and then point out the stuff that they did. Like it's like fucking beginner's guide shit where it's like the guy that makes Ex Machina and Annihilation is just really clever, but he's also not that secretive about what he's doing that's clever. So like you can just like watch the movie a few times and be like, wow, look at all this clever shit. I'm just gonna point the stuff out for people that don't know about the stuff. And then you Google a couple interviews and you see him talking about how like the house at the end of the movie is the same house from the beginning of the movie. It's like, oh shit, I'm gonna put that in the movie. And then you're like, oh, she's holding a book in that one scene. I should Google that book. That book is the themes of the movie. Like that's just Edgar Wright shit too. Like Edgar Wright would be easy to talk about probably because he just like tells you half the clever shit he did in the movie. Whereas reading in
Yeah.
subtext and so on is just like this whole like self-doubt thing, and then you're like, I have written and deleted so many sections because I'm like, okay, I had a section where I discussed the Crucible in the Beastars video because I was like, do I have to lay the basic groundwork of what an analogy is? Because I'm used to talking to gamers and they're dumb motherfuckers that don't get basic shit. Like
Wow.
I know from my Disco Elysium playthrough and other playthroughs, like gamers, or at least the ones that speak, are so stupid.
What?
Like the commenters will say the dumbest shit, and I'm like, oh my god, that's the level we're on. Okay, we gotta back up and start doing basic introductions of what like an analogy is apparently. And then like you have the was it that I tweeted recently that like because this video is about like dealing with queer subtext and things and themes, and I'm like. I tweeted a Talos Principle commenter recently of just talking about like just shitty comments basically, but this person was like, I hate this progressive generation. Why would you assume that they're gay lovers why can't they just be good friends or whatever? It's like I'm sorry,
They're sisters. They're not lesbians.
it's like I'm like the two people in Talos Principle that in the notes who did a like oh, the world's ending, so we're gonna do a suicide together. Here's our joint suicide note where we're gonna spend one last beautiful day together before we kill ourselves. Yeah, they're just friends. That's a friends thing that you used to say. It's like, but like I'm so used to those kinds of comments that are so like I'm like, what level what is my audience like? Do I speak to the people that already are informed on those stuff, or do I do the middle tier thing where I like reintroduce everything again? Like, do I talk about fucking queer coding and talk about the Maltese Falcon for the 500th video essay again? Or do I like literally start at the base level of like, you know nothing and I'm gonna tell you everything from scratch and it's gonna make this video twice as long and everyone that knows more is gonna be bored? Like, it's so fucking complicated. Somebody just laughed. Somebody in the audience just laughed because I referenced the fucking Maltese Falcon because they've watched 6 video essays about queer coding already that already talked about that exact movie.
I think the basis of it is that critical analysis, and I'm not talking about making videos where you're analyzing something critically. I'm talking about enjoying media, whatever it is, with a critical mind, is something that is not trained into anybody. That's not the point of selling anything to anybody. You never want to sell somebody a movie, or a book or a game, and you have the people be critical of your game. And when I say critical, I mean not be critical as in dislike it, but rather think about it critically. You want as much passivity as possible when you're trying to sell media. And so consumers are just not trained to be critical of the media they consume. And my personal journey of becoming more, analytical or critical. That's the same. That's a synonym in this instance anyway. My journey of becoming that, I don't think I've ever seen any media, or looking back, I should say, looking back, I don't think I ever saw anybody do critical analysis of something and be me being like, oh, that's what you do. I'm gonna start doing that. But it's over the years seeing that done over and over again, and sort of people leading by example is what got me there eventually. So to answer your question, Keith, my opinion is that, yeah, if people are gonna push back because they're not trained to do critical analysis, it's
Yep.
just not something that is done by the system. But leading by example is very powerful. For me, I think, looking back, um, like even games that I grew up playing over and over again, like Fallout, I I knew them back to front. I knew the themes of the game. I knew the intricacies of the story. But then watching people just take more from it than I ever could, just knowing the game back to front and knowing all the details and all the stuff, and people being like, "Oh, this is a commentary on this particular thing because of the interactions of the super mutants and the Brotherhood of Steel." And I'm like, "Oh, that's very insightful." Like the process of having an insight into something is eye opening, and once you start doing it, you do. At least once I started doing it, I started doing it more and more. Can't say that I'm always right, but the process of doing it is always fun, I think. And so people just if people say, I don't read into it, they're gonna do that anyway. Some of them do it because they're just contrarian and reactionary, but other people are legitimately distrustful and skeptic of the insightful perspectives on media because they're just not trained. But they're gonna get there. I think leading by example is very important.
I don't know why
I
someone randomly shouted Atris did nothing wrong, but I'll fucking get to him. I'll get to him and his
I don't
bullshit.
I don't
Atris has
I always keep thinking
crimes.
about that.
Atris did
I
so much wrong.
And what game is that?
Atris is
Isn't that
the
God
old
of War?
man from
Oh,
no, it's the old man from Mist. The
Oh,
abusive father that was
yeah.
abused by his father. Yeah, no, that's a video. I don't know how many years it'll take to get to it, but I'm gonna fucking go through the books of Mist and all the games again, and then be like, here's how this is actually a story about familial and generational abuse, and that's actually
I like
that's just the core themes of Mist. That's literally what the whole franchise is about.
I like the idea that you're like, I don't know when, I don't know where, but I'm gonna find you.
I mean, it's time
that's the other.
consuming. I thought I was gonna get a Beastars video done in Pride Month. I
You know
literally
what?
was like,
That's
hey Ben, can you finish this by the end of June?" And I paid him, and he did it, and he made it, and now it's just sitting in my fucking folder because I can't use it till I make this video, which might come out in 2022 for all I know. Next Pride Month.
The next Prime month. That's the other thing is that once you start analyzing things in a more, trying to read into things, you become aware of certain concepts and certain. At the end of the day, it's just a shorthand for uh, for common themes like generational abuse. But the like you get used to seeing the same things or similar themes analyzed in and taken on in media, and like somebody who is not aware of that is never gonna expect a game like Myst to be about that,
Yeah, no, they
and
don't.
oftentimes,
No one
especially in
mentions
games,
it,
yeah, because
which
I
is
mean,
nuts. It's one of the most successful video games of all time.
but the thing is, sometimes, especially in games, I feel, but it probably happens in movies, but it's just that sometimes games are written in a way that the authors themselves aren't even aware of their biases and their sort of predisposition towards certain things, and subtext can exist without the conscious uh, effort of the authors, and it's a little bit like somebody accidentally making a movie critical of I don't know, toxic masculinity while they were trying to make Fight Club, and they just saw Fight Club and they liked it. They didn't see the themes. They made a movie that is kind of similar to that, and they just copied over all the criticisms without really being aware of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
What I'm saying is that you can have certain prejudices or predispositions or attitudes in you that you are not aware are wrong, or are not aware are right. Even it doesn't matter. It's not a matter of judgment.
Like you have a political affiliation, for example, and then when you like something, you try to backfill from there. You're like, okay, I like this thing, and I think this way, therefore maybe it thinks the way that I think. Like I look at the movie The Hunt, and I'm like, oh, this is a movie about liberals and conservatives, but it's written from the perspective of a leftist, which is not the same thing as a liberal, which that's a thing you have to fucking explain to people. And it's like, is that, and how much of that is me just backfilling, and how much of that is true? I don't know. It's written by David Lindelof, which no one talks about, but that's the guy that made fucking The Watchmen show and Leftovers, which is nuts because The Hunt seems like a throwaway movie.
Well, what I'm saying is like, imagine Apocalypse Now, the way people see it as, or some people see it as a propaganda movie, or as a movie that praises the war in Vietnam.
Well, it's all the cyberpunk meme, the cool lasers or whatever, or like in the case of American History X and Fight Club, it's people going, wow, cool fascism, and then not getting any of the movie.
Yeah, it's basically, but but people making media. Especially, I think it happens in games because it's easier for somebody just to write a story uncritically, and just write it down as the king was trying to save the land from the orcs, but they accidentally just wrote a storyline about genocide and how hierarchical structures are bad, and just everything is bad in the end because the oppressive
like
monarch.
the idea of someone just accidentally slipping into political like a political conversation, but unintentionally, like, I just want to write a fun story about silly nonsense. It's like, wow, this like explains a generational issue, and it's like, it does? I didn't know. I'm sorry. I just wanted to have fun. You guys don't.
If you're not, absolutely, if you're not aware of the themes when you're writing something, that's what I mean. Like, if you don't think about it, one way or the other, you're just gonna write things that are in your subconscious. And if you grow up thinking that kings are cool, then you write a story
a lot of writers just accidentally let stuff leak out, and they accidentally say things that they didn't know they were saying.
Yeah, I guess that's. Exactly. I was gonna say, I guess it depends on your like experiences in the world will dictate the kind of writing you do, but that could also be very telling to the life you've lived. Like if you know,
some of my favorite video essays are just discussions of the idea. These like just thinking critically, like just forcing yourself to do that. There's I can't remember if it's a Calgren video or if it's an Errant Signal video, but it's who gets to be a civilization. And it's just like, oh, fuck, you never really thought about that, did you? Like, in the game's Civilization, who gets to be a civilization? Like, how did they, like, it's just asking you to, like, think about, like, how did they choose in all of English and American, what? In all of world history, how did they choose what civilizations were civilizations? And who's a civilization and who's quote unquote barbarians and who is a city-state? And it changes from game to game, and it's really weird, especially since two of the civilizations that are in most of the games are the same civilization in different time periods.
So there's also a lot of problem because Civ has been slowly grabbing to that concept and making DLC that includes ancient civilizations and modern, like, you know, non-economically successful civilizations. Like, they're just kind of like, okay, cool, I guess people like this. We can just kind of take every nation as being like anything that existed in history. I don't know what's about its people, but like we can make DLC about it. And like the barbarians in Civilization have like devolved into just being not a nation. So like, oh, they're just ambiguous bad people. And like city-states are just like, these are countries you didn't pick in your game. Like they're kind of like slowly homogenizing it all, like to just like, yeah, just every nation's there. Why not? They don't have to have unique units. They can just be things, you know. Like
it's just the push towards just thinking about things, especially the things you don't question. Like when, like in my, I harp on this a lot, but like there was my BioShock example where during my playthrough I stopped for a moment and realized, like, hang on a minute, you can just pay to make your wanted level go away, like at a vending machine. And that's just a physical thing that like it's one thing when like GTA is like, I am a crime mister, and I get on my smartphone and I have like contacts. I have a bunch of contacts that'll get me in, and they'll get rid of my wanted level if I pay them a bunch of money or whatever. Like that's like
Yeah, it sounds like a
saying,
mob style thing.
yeah,
that
that
fits
is
into the
saying something
universe.
technically, but it's like there's more layers to it. But like in BioShock, it's just it's like a vending machine, like how you'd buy a Coke. And like that says a lot about the
Yeah.
world of BioShock and what Rapture is and its weird libertarian nightmare and all that. And I go on talking about this for a few minutes in the comments, which is like, it's just a video game, don't think about it. It's like, no, fuck you, think about it. Like this stuff is here for a reason. Fuck, and like there's a good video.
Don't think about BioShock, the
Yeah.
entire game about
the game
where
that's a
its
political
twist was about
commentary.
not thinking about something.
Yeah.
I
Or like
and the thing is,
Conquest
like,
of Dread
in
has like
BioShock,
a really good video called Decolonizing Games, and it's specifically because like he's like he plays game, he like analyzes games, and he analyzes movies and so on, but he's Maori, and so he has a specific background of being from a colonized group and having a different perspective and looking at how like so much of video games are pro-colonialism essentially, and like entire
Yeah.
genres are about that kind of like how like Satisfactory and Factorio and Civilization are all inherently like the 4X genre is defined by colonialism as being like the base assumption of how you play them, and like there's like an inherent aspect of like these like new factor genre where you go onto a planet and you exploit its resources and tame its dangers so that it all crumples before you and you are the god of this land now and so on, like, and then like the entire
you're doing
so much of
something
the
you can't
RPG
do.
genre just as a concept like is inherently about this kind of like going to a land and conquering it feeling, and it's like just putting a critical eye at that and like analyzing that, like that's worth doing, and that's the good shit. Everyone should engage critically with things. It doesn't mean that the thing's bad and it has to go away, but it's worth wondering why it's that way.
away.
It's better to
Yeah.
have questioned its existence and being aware of the criticisms of it than to just not. And then,
True.
yeah,
because then you
'Cause
go
at the end
on
of
to
the day-
uncritically recreate that stuff. It's like the
'Cause at
Annie
the end of the day-
Disacresian stuff, right? Like the point wasn't to be like,
Yeah.
fuck you, delete these games that already exist. The point of Annie Disacresian stuff was to be like,
exactly.
hey, here's my criticisms of what's out so far. Maybe think about that when you're making, the next ones. And that's
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
because
the
you can
point.
think critically.
Or-
of something, like,
Alternatively, we can destroy an entire group of people.
that's the other alternative. Yes, but I think like the fear that some people might have. I think some people might have is the fear that if they start thinking critically of things, they stop enjoying them, and I think
Well,
that's
it
not
can be
true.
disappointing sometimes when you find out that things you like are actually problematic things. You can still like
Yeah.
them, obviously, but like you also then have to have. It's like ignorance is bliss. Like never knowing that something you enjoy is actually kind of insidious is great until you know that it's insidious, and then you can't stop thinking about like, wow, why did it have to have that? Like anime is that problem like 100-fold. Anytime you
Mhm.
watch anime, you're like, oh, this is really fun, and then you see like a teenage girl upskirt, and you're like, oh wait, this is actually really bad. Can you not do that so I can enjoy the content without feeling bad about enjoying the content? Like there's
Yeah.
it's like, and most people that watch anime can just ignore that. You don't have to think about that. You can just go like, oh, it's just part of the culture or whatever. But that doesn't
That
make that go away.
That's the
It
worst
doesn't
thing.
make the
Like
yeah.
the Japanese culture is in so many ways very very retrograde culture. I don't know if the word is correct though, retrograde here, but like
it's
they don't
different.
have. What I said, like they don't have, they don't legalize gay marriage. They're really homophobic, like in
No, that's the older generation. The new the younger generation is a lot.
Oh,
The
for
problem
sure.
is you have to
I'm not
forget
talking
that
about
like
the people.
Japan.
I'm not talking about the people that
Oh.
are homophobic. I'm talking about just the popular media in general. Like it's basically like the 90s in the US. It's right now in Japan, or at least it was like a few years in the past. It's like it's really jarring if you're aware of it, and it's of course it's easy for people who aren't directly affected by it to just ignore it. Who cares about all the homophobic tropes in anime or the violence against women in anime. If you're not a woman or a part of the LGBT community, it doesn't affect you personally, so it's easy for you to look away. But like the part of the culture is not an excuse, particularly in regards to Japanese culture, because they have so much to go forward in that regard. I think there's a certain level of understanding where it comes from, but it doesn't make it any better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just it. But again, I don't have to. I can still enjoy something and be critical of its
Yeah,
content.
I think so.
Like I don't have to. I don't have to throw away my entire. Uh, I don't know. I don't have to throw away my entire collection of like One Piece stuff just because there's like, kind of iffy, like really washy, like iffy ideas of what like body image should look like for some people. And it's like, or the fact that they have like, prominent, there's like some prominently well done gay characters and some that are not, that are just there to be punching bags.
Yeah.
Like yeah, sure. But again, all I have to do is acknowledge that that's bad and that I can move on from it. I don't have to like, it doesn't have to like destroy the entire existence. But I think that's the thing is like people admitting that there is some, I guess like you don't want to have to defend your position, at times if someone says like, wow, that's bad. And you have to be like, no, but it's okay. Cause like, I get it. Or this is part of the cult. It's like, I don't need to defend anime. I know it's garbage. And like, it is like, it is just garbage. It's fine. It's beautiful looking garbage, but it's garbage.
Sometimes
and
it's beautiful looking garbage because a lot of it is just really
but
poorly drawn.
I don't know.
No
Again,
shame on the
it's-
artist though,
The
because
two,
they're
the
just not played
two
enough.
genres of anime: garbage and Miyazaki.
which is garbage. Like,
How
it
dare
comes
you.
from like a bitter, upset, angry man who honestly kind of like pushes people too far to make content that isn't like revolutionary in its nature. It's not like Spirited Away is like some
Also,
kind
that
of
other guy.
like
Actually, that one guy. The other guy was probably better than Miyazaki.
uh, you
Tokyo Godfather's
Sat-
guy.
you're talking about Satoshi Kon.
Yeah, Satoshi Kon.
Yeah. Satoshi Kon's a little bit different. Yeah, he's not he is not as bitter and hateful about the
Yeah.
world and doesn't make his people suffer through content creation. But the yeah, I mean obviously there's going to be good creators and bad creators, there's going to be good content and bad content, but like it's again, I think the important part is like looking at something and going like, yeah, why did you put that in there? Or why is this necessary? Why do we have these things? Like there is such a thing as necessary realism. Like there obviously an upskirt is something that can happen, but the context in which it is, like, is the camera focused on it? Is it like, held for a couple of shots? Like how long is it held on screen to exist? Is it just like,
it's
because like
lit-
technically
it's literally
Miyazaki has
called-
upskirt shots, but they're like 3 seconds at most. They're so minimal that you don't even notice they exist unless you literally
3
pause
seconds
the
is
frame.
so long.
Well, you know what? Sorry, you know what I mean. Like in reality, it's just a blink. You blink and it's gone, and you won't even notice that it happened unless you literally stop the scene to look at it. But like that's because it's not important. It's just a real part of life. Yeah, a plane just flew overhead, so it creates a lot of wind, and that just happened. And people just wear skirts in reality.
It's
Oh,
really
no.
interesting when
But,
you
like,
when you change who makes a thing, and it fundamentally reframes how they frame everything. Like how Beastars
directors
is
matter.
just the horniest fucking show, and manga, and yet
Is it more
like,
horny
it
than normal
but
anime?
but like objectifies their characters less than like any of them. Which is like feels like a paradox.
That's nice. I
can
still
be,
need to
yeah.
watch these stars.
But I think again, it's just about how you approach. Yeah, it's like who is in control and
it's,
how
like,
they
it's, like,
view.
it's just accepted that an anime will just have the boob girl. I'm the boob girl. Who's the boobs? Hello, that's my job.
But
They're really
not like
blatant
that,
about it
but
in
come
Zero
on,
Escape.
some
All of
anime
them
don't have
have the
that.
boob girl in
Well.
that. It's just there's always one in the cast. There's someone in
I
a
don't think
mask
that's
and
a
there's
very-
a boob lady.
I don't think that's
my
a fair
job.
example. I think literally, you're talking about like bargain bin writing. It's like looking at hentai and being like, wait a second, this isn't well written. What's
Yeah, but
going on
you look
here?
through your
Like,
Cowboy Bebops and whatnot too, and you always have like the booby girl, and like the better shows like Cowboy Bebop will like try to do a better job justifying it retroactively, but they started from the point of having the booby girl. Like that was their goal.
Yeah,
and then
of course.
they like characterized her well or something. Whereas a lot of other shows will just be like, no, that she's just there because we wanted them, and then we didn't really try very hard.
Do you think Cowboy Bebop has Faye? You're talking about Faye specifically, right? Faye
Yeah,
Valentine.
absolutely.
Do you think you think it has her as an objectified character to begin with, and then becomes...
Her outfit literally serves no purpose. There is no reason that she needs to wear that outfit at all times, and that outfit only exists to
Where does she keep her guns?
I remember.
Don't ask questions, Keith. Just consume the eye candy.
It's
Like
been a while-
it's like look at Spike Spiegel, and then you look at Faye Valentine, and you go, okay, so like, why? Why would I can understand.
I've definitely seen
like,
characters with less clothing in anime, but
Yeah.
she specifically is a brand of like whatever clothing she does have is also incredibly thin and loose. And I'm like, where is any of your guns? Where is any of your anything? Where do you keep anything?
Yeah, like
I thought she was written. It's been a while since I watched it, but isn't she written as the femme fatale sort of archetype kind of?
No,
character?
she's not poorly written. She's poorly designed.
No,
Like that's the thing.
Because a femme fatale would always use her sexuality. That's the archetype.
Yes, yeah,
So
that's what.
her outfit. At least her introduction is as a femme fatale.
That's
She's
where you
like
get
in
to the
bar.
stuff where you backfill good motivation and characterization to justify the character, as opposed to just throwing them in there like a lot of anime will do.
But again,
I'm
there's
not
still
even,
just
I'm not even arguing.
questions.
I'm not even arguing that. The very archetype of femme fatale is inherently misogynistic. Like it just assumes it propagates the prejudice that hot women are inherently distrustful, or they're somehow worse because they're beautiful or whatever. But I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying that I think
beauty is
what
deadly.
I'm
Those
saying
wily
is
women's
that
are gonna get you.
Oh
she
no.
she exists as a femme fatale. I think she was always from the beginning to be like that. Not I'm not trying
But
to
you can
justify
be.
it.
But my argument here is that you can be a femme fatale without wearing what she wears. It's not necessary to
Can you?
have a
I
literal.
suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
It's
true.
not
No, you're
necessary
fair.
to have like some
You're right,
outfit where your shorts are held up by like suspenders attached to what
the
barely
movie
constitutes
version
as
of
a shirt.
It could be a femme fatale.
It's
No,
just
you're,
like,
you're absolutely
yeah.
right. You're right.
But
I
again,
didn't
you can
think
look
about it like
at like any of the other cast besides her, and even Ed is like
that. Yeah.
like Ed is wearing like hot pants and a tank top, and that's still less sexy than Faye is. And but that outfit, technically hot pants and tank top, could be considered a sexy outfit.
Because it's the
But, like,
presentational
And
context.
she has a lot of scenes. She has a lot of
Yeah.
scenes where she just goes around showing her body off. There's a lot. Yeah, like that's what I was gonna say is that the very notion of an upskirt and a lot of these scenes in anime, they're called fan service, which is just, it shows what they're called by the fans, I should say. But
as a fan, I'd prefer you spend more time writing better things.
It's,
what I'm saying is
it's
that
the
it just
difference
shows
between having scenes dedicated to showing the female character using her sexuality to manipulate someone versus just how the camera frames them moment to moment, all outside of all those moments.
Yeah.
And it's like that, if it's the latter, it's just fan service.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think
comes
it's always
up in
fan
the
service,
plot
even-
every now and then.
I just
like there's some shows that make it really obvious because they're like for one of my favorite shows, honestly, like a lot of my favorite shows have a lot of fan service. That's just anime. You just can't avoid it for a lot.
But it's
But,
not.
like-
Like that's the annoying part. It's not. It's
No,
not
what I'm
just
saying-
anime. That's like it's a cheap attempt to. I don't know. It's frustrating. I hate.
Do you
hate
think?
fan
Do you
service.
think it's it's I don't know. It's what I'm saying is like it's the hot spring episodes in Samurai. What's the word? What's the name? Rurouni
those are
Kenshin.
called those are called crutches. They're narrative crutches because you can't write a series coherently long enough to keep it interesting without the necessity of adding these like little doses of fan service, because that's what
No,
wakes you
you
up. It snaps
can.
you back. It says like, hey, don't fall asleep. Look at the boobies. Look at the boobies. Like,
But they
you don't.
they're super jarring in that particular series. But there's a lot of series like that because they Rurouni Kenshin, who by the way the author is a pedophile, so there's that.
He's the worst.
He's the
in Japan
worst.
history.
But the
Like,
TV
Really off
series-
topic, aren't we?
No.
TV
What was the
series
question?
Barely has any. I don't remember actually.
Like. I
What
don't
was
know.
the
I think it was what's my next essay. That was supposed to be a
Yeah,
question.
next
Twitter.
essay. Oh, that
Shit.
explains it. Yeah. Okay, we can move on. We're just debating anime for now.
You have an essay channel?
Yeah.
All right,
How
yeah,
do you
go
go
ahead.
about
Let's-
juggling multiple different games during the same period?
It doesn't help if they're on different consoles, because boy, I wish those buttons were the
Oh,
same.
God, yeah.
Like,
You just
What I
you just
used
do
to
it.
do,
yeah.
what I used
You
to
just
do,
go.
It's just multitasking, but on like a kind of a semi annoying.
It's just
level.
every day I
What
record
about-
whichever one has the least backlog left.
So what I used to do is I would never play too many new games at the same time. I would always play a measure of
Coward.
games that I knew and games that I didn't know. So that way I could keep them all in my head. The new games, I wouldn't lose memory in between play sessions. But and to add to that, what I would do is if I were to be like, imagine I'm gonna record The Witcher now, and I was playing Mass Effect or something, and I don't remember where I was in The Witcher, I would just go and watch my previous episode a little bit, or just look at the final bit of the last episode and just see what I was doing. And so that way, when I started recording the next episode, I wouldn't lose track. But now what I do is I just edit it out. If I say something dumb because I forgot, I just edit out, reload. It doesn't matter. It didn't happen. It's fine. And so that's very powerful.
Yeah,
That's how I do
you just forget stuff, but you also just forget stuff just day to day playing the same game. Like sometimes people are like, I'll have comments and be like, "See, this is happening because you're always juggling too many games. You do this to yourself." I'm like, I played that game for 4 days straight, and this was day 3. Like, that was just there was no other games. That was just me forgetting between days because that's just how like time and brains work. And yeah, like sometimes I'll like scrape the previous video and like try to get up some context or something, and and like half the time I do that immediately, just minute 1, I'm just slammed in the face with something that I don't remember the context of or what's going on, and it didn't.
And also the
it
things-
doesn't solve it.
The things we forget in the same episode.
Oh yeah,
They don't complain that I'm playing too many games when I forget things about in the same episode, even though that is also likely as a result of me playing too many games. Is that the thing I forget in the same episode? Yeah.
There's just a lot of information. You don't always know which stuff to latch onto, and even if you want to latch onto stuff, sometimes you just forget it. Like like when you're just given a password and you can't remember that password all the way to the door, and you're like, "Fuck, I gotta go back now."
But one
Brains
thing is
just
for
do
sure,
that.
because we commentate on our games, it's a lot easier for us to remember things than it is if we weren't commentating. I think, like,
what's really
what-
weird to me is that like I have a really good memory for how much longer I need to record. Like every time I have to cut my recording halfway through an episode, I'm like, fuck, okay, we have 12 minutes to go. Like when I come back from like lunch or somebody interrupting me or me just doing live editing and realizing like, okay, well, fuck this, I'm not doing this next part on camera. Let's just get back to where that was or backtrack or whatever. When I come back, I will like in my brain have a number of how long this recording has to be to finish this episode, and I will always remember somehow. And I don't know why that's the thing I always remember, because I forget so much shit all the time.
When
I'm
was the last
trained.
thing that I forgot? Oh, I'm playing Deathloop, right?
What,
No,
what was
I was,
the last thing I forgot? Well, that's gonna be a problem for you. It's a
No,
piece together.
no, I'm playing Deathloop, and I watched. There's like a little cutscene in the game that tells the story of the island, and there was a bit of it that like 2 days after I didn't remember. I was just, it was just because I didn't pay attention. I was doing it live stream. I was looking at chat. Sorry. That's things. It happens.
Yeah. You just one of my biggest fuck you moments to myself is when I will like read a paragraph of plot important stuff and realize that my mind wandered halfway through and I literally like thought about something else for like
As
the
you were
entire
reading.
time. And then I'm like, I sure hope it came out correctly. But also, shit, I should like remember to like check this video when I'm done with it and try to find that part and read it again, because I took none of it in and I got to just keep going right now with like
And
what
he
I'm
did
doing.
not do that.
I'm amazed by how, like, especially with how much I fuck up reading in general. I'm amazed by how sometimes I can like perfectly read through something while literally not paying attention to it. Like I'm literally thinking
Oh,
about
yeah.
something else while perfectly reading a data entry or like dialogue or whatever. I'm like, how did I do that? It's like those moments where you're like doing a commute you do too many times and you're like, I don't remember driving here. Like I'm at school now. It took an hour
Sir,
to
this
get
is a
here. I
Wendy's?
don't remember the drive. I feel like I passed out and got here somehow.
For me,
Yeah, it's like you're
sorry, go ahead.
no, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just agreeing with Keith. I was like, yeah, your brain does that. It'll just like
Yeah, it shuts
shoot
off.
stuff out of there. Yeah.
For me, early on, what happened was because I was focused so much on pronouncing things properly, especially because when I'm reading something, it's words that I might not use all the time. And it still happens a little, but because I'm focused on the pronunciation and enunciation and trying not to stutter and all that, I'm not processing the text, and it happened a lot at the beginning of my YouTube
Oh yeah.
videos, and it's just like
If you
I would
watch
read-
like, I think it might be the finale or one of the episodes of my original Outlast playthrough, I obsessed over getting through the entire thing perfectly. So I would sit there and I would actually like it happened in some of Dragon Age Inquisition 2, I think, where I would read a codex entry or a note or whatever, and every single time that I fucked up at reading it, I would like pause and sit there for like 10 seconds so there's like a blank area in the audio, and then when I'm editing, I'd pick up on all those spots as being places I needed to like fix it because I wanted to do a perfect read through of the whole thing, and it was so fucking time consuming. And at one point, there was just like this relatively short Outlast note that just it was just phrased weirdly. Like it was a person who would just phrase things weirdly, and so I just couldn't get through it. It was only a few sentences, and I just kept fucking up. And I left it at the end of the video as like a blooper thing or something. But it was like, boy, I kicked that habit because. It's
I'm
just
doing
not
that
worth
right
it.
now.
Obsessing
just
over
don't
that
do the
stuff is
pause.
too much.
I do the little. And
Yeah,
then
I
it's
saw
just
that
really
in
obvious
your takes on like the bouncer audio, your way of like
It's- yeah.
denoting mistakes.
It's just really obvious in the audio thing, and
Yeah.
like to this day, I still don't know if I have any video where I forgot about that. Because if I do, well, it's really
How would you?
weird.
Yeah, like who's gonna notice? It's really
I
funny when
used
people
my,
leave their mistakes in.
I
Yeah.
use my what's it called? My soundboard to denote mistakes. So
Oh,
whenever I messed up, I would play the me shouting what, and it's because it's so
What?
much louder than the rest of everything else that like I would immediately go like, oh, that's a bad take.
That's
'cause
really
that's
funny.
the what at the end of it.
That's good. That's
Like,
good.
Yeah,
I
the
need
it's
to
just
do
like-
that.
yeah.
I used to listen to the Hey Ash podcast. That was like Ashley and Anthony Birch. I listened to it back in college, and on a regular basis, they'd be like, "All right, yeah, let's edit that part out. Let's just sit here silently for a few seconds," and like I'd just be sitting in my car awkwardly, like hearing them like make a mistake and be like, oh, we're gonna take this part out, or let's leave this part. Let's just signify in the waveform that we're gonna take this part out. And obviously they didn't because I know about it and it's in the episode. And they did it like once or twice an episode. Like they were just
Wow.
whoever was handling the export was just not on the ball, or they just didn't.
were not watching their stuff.
Yeah, like they just did not receive
is
the
what I do,
note
by the
about
way.
what they were supposed
Yeah,
to
that's
do
good.
or what.
I was gonna say that's very relatable. I also don't watch my.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
always
simple,
that's
like,
always a
you-
weird element of when people are like, "Why don't you get an editor?" And it's like, one, can't afford one really, but two, like I don't know how much I'd trust some random person to like deal with my shit, especially like all the choices I make about how to edit a puzzle game, for example, as opposed to low
Yeah.
effort stuff.
I think like it's frustrating too because there's unless you're doing so it's more manageable if you're doing smaller content. So like if you're
yeah.
doing stuff that's like 10 to 15 minutes long, it's a lot easier. You can kind of like, they edit it, you watch it and you go, yeah, looks about good. Or like you can say, maybe kick up the audio a bit here or whatever. But like when it's an hour long content, you're like, okay, I'm gonna watch an hour video
'Cause you
of myself
already
now to
spent-
make sure that it's not messed up. Like,
Because in the
Yeah.
process of editing, you already watched it. It's just not watching the result of your editing. That's the issue.
yeah, but also like this is the reason you would have this is the reason a director doesn't watch every single edit. Like
Yeah.
a director comes back and watches it after a certain point because someone else is in charge of making sure that like the general gist is done. And someone goes like, okay, look, we've gotten to the point now where we just need to make sure like this absolutely fits your image. And then you can make time to do that. But like, let's play content. I don't know. Do you need to do that? Is it necessary? I think like I
Yeah,
would
it's okay
prefer
if there's some mistakes.
yeah, I would prefer in like Let's Play content that I had somebody edit the general stuff for me. Like I would like someone to make sure my audio is balanced, make sure what is it called? Make sure like the beginnings and ends are all properly edited to like, all their cuts, the audio is perfect, everything looks good, like looks good on paper, and then I just can go through and cut any stuff I don't want out. Um,
Oh, I see
that
what
would
you
be
mean.
like that would be like the extent of having an editor to me, is like just having someone make sure that the audio content is perfect and that the beginning and end are synced exactly how I want them to be. And then from there, I can just like, if there's something in the middle, because I remember it, I was there. And if there's something that I really absolutely hated, I just try to take a note of it. I'll try to look down and be like, oh, that was like 15 minutes. I gotta remove that. Like,
God, I love that. I love whenever I hear about a problem that I used to have, and then I remember that it's just not there anymore.
like,
like
like what?
like in the old days when I'd render stuff, sometimes there'd just be a long stretch of black screen where it just didn't. It's like the editor
Mm,
just didn't correctly prepare the clip before it started rendering, and it just rendered anyway. And so
yeah.
I'd have to just go back and do it again. Or we always had to like select all of our clips every time we imported them, right click them, and then disable resample, or they'd have that weird ghosting after image after all the movement.
Yes.
And I don't sync anything ever.
Yeah, because now in
It's
OBS
just
you
gone.
can
Amazing.
start. Yeah, you
Because
press
we
a
have
button and
Yeah.
start recording.
well, like, yeah, everything's
Yeah.
in OBS, and like our audio and the game video and the game audio is all in OBS. But also, like, even for video game console stuff, like there's the new Elgatos are lagless. So
Yeah.
like it's
Mhm.
just a thing, like that whole like, oh wow, like like highlight this thing in the Xbox 360
Uh,
dashboard, go up 3 times and down
uh,
3 times and make a sound with your face, and then sync that up later and hope the sync doesn't like wander somehow. Like the only time I'm gonna sync
God
anything is when I
damn
do
it.
video essays and I do like a microphone recording with a camera, like that's
Yeah.
recording to like a SD card or some shit. But like Let's Play syncing is just gone. There's so many
I
shitty
fucking
complications and steps that have just melted away over the years. Like
God, I
I used to
remember
I
like
used to
trying to do
process
that
all of
in
my
each game.
audio before I had a daisy chain thing set up in Vegas, like that would do it more automatically. I used to fucking process in the audio Audacity every commentary track of every video before I could edit it. Like I would like noise remove and normalize and compress and all that in that. And it's so much extra work and it's just not in my life.
I
Yes.
remember
Yeah.
specifically being annoyed at trying to sync audio based on start menu stuff, and like sometimes the start menu uh what was it like we would try to do it in games sometimes, and sometimes the game start menus just didn't facilitate that in the beginning, where we're like, oh, we just need to sync it, so just like and it's like, oh no, there's like no audio coming from the choosing an option, or like it has a huge delay on going to the next
Oh yeah, like
option,
like
and
the
there's like,
game
okay, so
audio doesn't signify the menu, and then you're like, oh
yeah,
fuck. Well then, do we know if the video? Because they're like, your first instinct is you gotta sync your commentary, but then you're like, wait, what if the game audio isn't recording in sync with the game video? Because that sometimes they would just fuck up or something. Uh, and yeah, like we loved recording on the Xbox 360 because it was a universal. Like no matter what game we're playing, you would just
yeah.
press the Xbox button and bring up the dashboard and go boop 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 boop, and it would always sound, and it was always the same audio, so it's just universal. And all those
It
problems are
was
just not in my life anymore.
yeah, that is definitely like I have like the little stream deck thing. And so I just have a button that I can press to start live streaming and a button I can press to start recording. And it's just great because I just like as I'm playing a game, I just have that. And I can look at the time and go, "Oh, it's getting about time for me to end the episode." So I'll just like kind of slowly move like moving my character to somewhere where I want to end it, and move my finger over to the end button, and then just go like, "Okay, done," and then
Yeah, and
click the
cut
end button
and
and just be
start.
yep, and just done again. And it's like I don't have to think about it. When I open the videos up, the only thing I have to pay attention to is like I always leave about like 5 seconds in the beginning and the end, just to like just to make sure that I know like, oh,
It doesn't
okay,
like cut
like
off
nothing got
somehow.
cut off. Yeah, like nothing just got ruined in the process.
Yeah.
But otherwise, that's it. And so it's easy. That's what I'm saying. Like if I had an editor, I'd just like cut those parts out for me, get the audio balanced. I'll take it from there. But
I don't remember what question we were answering anymore.
I don't either.
Here's a
We always
quick
go on
one. Is there
tangents.
any games that any of you have carried on playing or replayed in your personal time after you've done your Let's Play?
Dark Souls 3.
Do you have a personal time, Keith?
Yeah, I'll have zombie mode games basically that I play when I'm just like burning through YouTube videos. Like sort of multitasky stuff where it's like specifically it's like a low value game essentially. Like the game just doesn't matter that much, and I don't have to try that hard and so on. It's why
Dark
like
Souls 3.
sometimes I want to grind in Monster Hunter, and it's like this is too much. This is too hard. I can't. I need to focus on this harder, which is kind of the rough thing about grinding in Monster Hunter because it requires grinding, but you can't like tune out to grind. But like, yeah,
Sounds like thing.
I platinum trophied Death Stranding and Ghost of Tsushima after I finished my playthroughs,
Wow.
Wow.
and neither
what
of
a
them were
pair.
like a stamp of quality. Especially Ghost of Tsushima, that I think is mostly just bad. But I was like, I don't know, it's not a very hard list to complete. You just finish the map basically, and it's mostly just things that shows you on the map. So it's like I'll just clean out all these nodes while I'm just kind of zombie hanging out, and then it's like there, it's platinum. Death Stranding was way more work, but Death Stranding's also more compelling. It's weird. It's just a
I
really
don't-
weird process to complete it, but maxing out the reputation of every character is fucking annoying.
I don't think I have any. If you don't count, like playing Overwatch or Splitgate outside of
Yeah.
when playing it with other people, like I don't think there's a single game that I've let's played where I was like, I'm gonna go back and play that again or play that more. It's like, no, once it's done, thank God, I'm out. Like just I
Sonic.
immediately
Yours
uninstall.
was you did Sonic Boom.
Did I 100% Sonic Boom?
I don't know if you finished, but for some reason you were after all of our sessions, you would in a separate file go back and like do the completionist version of that part of the game. I don't know if you
Yeah,
kept it
that
up,
makes
but
sense.
you were like trying to complete the game.
I think that's pretty. I was probably trying to just find some kind of like joy in the misery. It's yeah. I'm trying to think of like I don't have any. I really don't have any games that I have like gone back and wanted to play more of after beating them recently. That just hasn't been a thing. All the games so far I've been enjoying, I haven't actually been let's playing. So yeah, I guess it's my fault.
How
But,
dare you
oh
not
well.
monetize all of your hobbies all the time, even though
It's
you don't
just
really get any money for it.
I didn't expect to even like enjoy them going in, so it was like oh, what a surprise. But I don't know. It's yeah, I'm trying to think like all the games I could think of that I play outside of let's playing are just like shitty shooter games that I'm not just wanting to record myself playing 24/7. Sometimes I just don't want to think about people watching me do things. Like I don't know. That's
Mm.
about it.
Yeah.
It's like when you play competitive games, sometimes it's kind of nice to not think about other people. You're just like doing it for you. It's like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
doing good. I feel good about this. I don't want someone to like come on the give me a comment like, wow, what a shitty aim. It's like, thanks, man. It's like the one I'm just trying to enjoy myself, appreciate it. Like
You should
For me-
switch off of Symmetra. You're not getting any value.
yeah, like stuff like that where I'm like, look, man, I don't need this in my life. I'm just trying to like find some kernel of like happiness in a game that's made to make
Hi.
me miserable.
Who's calling my name?
Huh?
Huh?
He said
that's
Colonel.
fine. You said Colonel. Yes.
Ah.
For me, it's the air conditioning. I turn on the air conditioning. It's one of those mobile units that makes a racket, so I can't record anything while it's on. So I just play whatever. And
What's your
it's
zombie
Dark
mode
Souls
game?
Oh, yeah, I was
right, you said
confused. I
Dark
was like,
Souls
wait,
3.
are you playing an air conditioning?
3. No, it's when it's on. I play Dark Souls 3.
Just pushing the button on the controller, like, okay, I think I
Yeah.
got it to the max. Like,
I'll sometimes have a game that I'm currently playing where there's some level of grinding that I need to keep up with, but I've mostly excised the JRPGs from my life.
oh,
don't- I don't-
obviously, it's Alone in the Dark. That's
don't-
mine.
I don't think I'm
Because
going to play Tales of Arise, for example. But if I did, I'd be right back at my old habits that I did with all those JRPG playthroughs where
Podcast.
I sprint past all of the enemies to try to beat the dungeon as fast as possible. And then off camera, I grind for like an hour to make up the difference, but I don't want to fucking commentate over random encounters.
Did they make another game with a weird title that doesn't make grammatical sense?
Yeah, Tales of Arise is out.
I thought it was
the
Tales of
first-
a Rise because
Arise, like the word
No.
to arise. I think it might be about a rebellion or something. I don't know.
That's not
Everyone,
how English.
people, I have heard throngs of people saying it's great, but I don't trust people.
Fair.
That's a good policy to have. I think
Yeah,
that's
I'm like, I'm like, what is your criteria? How did you feel about the other ones?
Did you like 999? Because if you like 999,
I love 999, just not for the reasons they want me to.
yeah. How
oh
dare
yeah,
you.
that's
I cherish the Zero Escape franchise.
I don't.
It's such beautiful
I,
garbage. God.
I've already explained multiple times that I would,
Like
if given the chance, get rid of it from
I'm
existence.
terrified of how much work it'll take, but I'm definitely considering replaying the trilogy and recording it while like taking notes the whole time and being like, here's all the plot holes of the Zero Escape trilogy. But then I'd be like, how hard do I want to work at this? Like, am I going to compile a list and
exactly.
post it on the subreddit and be like, fucking prove me wrong, and then see what people say to me, and then like go through like peer review on like plot holes? Because like it's such a horrifyingly convoluted, non-linear story that it's like I don't know what I just forgot or missed, even if I'm rechecking it all. Like,
Nope.
I don't know. Maybe
I'll,
there's an explanation for some of it. I
I'll
don't
fight
I don't want to
anybody.
be stupid on the internet
Anybody.
and get comments. Ah.
I can win any fight about Zero Escape.
Yeah.
I will win it every time. No.
What games
no
did you
holds
play
barred.
as a child?
Better games.
really better games.
Better games than Zero Escape? Yes. Every game I played as a child
No,
was
I mean,
better than
that's
Zero
the
Escape.
that's the next question is
fair.
what games did you play as a child? Which is
So
a bit of a
I can go
blanket.
through mine very quickly. Sega Rally Championship, Daytona USA Circuit Edition, Sonic Jam, Sonic 3D. Sonic Jam is the collection of Sonic 1, 2, and 3 and Knuckles. Tomb Raider, Destruction Derby, and a few others here and there. That's it.
Destruction Derby is a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Silent Bomber, which is edgy Bomberman with anime boys, Mischief Makers, Jet Force Gemini, Banjo Kazooie, Perfect Dark, Jedi Power Battles. Those are some of the big nostalgic hits to some extent. I don't know. It's just like a forever list. I probably played hundreds of games as a kid.
But it's not a teenager, right? We're talking as a child.
Yeah, the
Well, define
Nintendo
child. What is
64
the...
would have been me being like 9, probably.
Yeah.
7 to 11, I guess.
I started
Earlier
playing
than
games,
earlier than that, it's like not even
at 10.
memories.
Yeah.
Like if you go earlier than that, it's like we had the Duck Hunt Mario cartridge and Ninja Gaiden, and we used to beat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1989 arcade with the Game Shark that gave us Infinite Lives, and I had the pad for the Olympics game, but I don't remember ever what it was like to play.
Oh. Yeah, you mentioned the Olympics game before.
And Battletoads, which of course meant we just got to like level 2 or whatever, and that was it, because it's like the speed bike level is impossible.
Old games and their weirdness.
What did I play?
I don't
Played,
feel nostalgic about anything before like PS1 64.
I played Super Mario World, Doom, Pitfall on the SNES, Tasmania Devil on the Game Gear, Alex Kidd Saves the World on the Sega Master System. Basically a lot of platformers. I just like spent my entire childhood playing platformers until my brain
Huzzah.
got broken. Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's adventure or whatever. Yeah, I'm trying to think like what I guess Star Fox 64. I played I guess on PlayStation I played Destruction Derby, and Xbox I played Sega GT Racing, but yeah, mostly it was just platformers.
Oh, I also played Sega Touring Car. I forgot about that one.
Oh, and Jet Set Radio Future. It's a good game.
Mm.
I don't know. Like, yeah, as a kid, my parents obviously didn't want to buy me Noah's Ark on the Super Nintendo. So they were going to get me like Mario and Mario Paint and Mario Teaches Typing, and like anything that had Mario was pretty safe. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to think. Like I have all of my Super Nintendo games from growing up just sitting over here.
I wish I did.
I sold them for a hard drive, 80 gigabytes.
I had to like hunt. So I used to have them. All of my old consoles used to stay at my grandparents' house. It's like this is something to play when you're over here. And like at one point, my grandparents thought they just phased out. So like it's like, oh well, he hasn't touched a Super Nintendo. I guess we'll just get rid of that. And I had to like go and get that back because they just like gave it away. And I was like, all right, now I have to go get my Super Nintendo and all my games back. And that was a nightmare. That was like I had to come back and be like, okay, guys, like if I don't touch a game for a while, just put it in a box. Just don't get rid of it. Just put it in a box. Good God,
That's nightmare material right there.
it's not. It was a nightmare. Like my biggest regret is not still having my Game Gear, Master System, and PlayStation 2, because both like all three of them got sold off out of my control.
Other people getting rid of my stuff is the reason why I basically prevent myself from having nice stuff. It's just like, nope.
No, I
You know,
just
my parents did not value my games the way that you would value like a movie collection or anything. So like yeah, like it was like a fucking
movie
conveyor
collection?
belt where just all your past stuff would just get sold off or given
To
away or
think that-
something. So like
Oh,
while
man, that's-
Games
so
are
like
so
by the
much
time
more
I was playing
expensive than
Xbox 360 games, I had nothing before that left. Like already the Xbox
That's
games were gone
crazy.
and everything before that was gone, and I'm like, I really would have liked to have that stuff right about now. Not only because a lot of it's rare and a lot more expensive, but it's also like
Yeah.
I have a whole like time slot where I'm like, let's revisit childhood games, and it's like, well, you gotta go fucking get it again. And sometimes
Yeah.
there's a rareware collection to help you out, and sometimes there's not.
Yeah, like I literally like the solution for me was like I had a storage container I just like got at like a department, like Home Depot or whatever. It's got like a storage container, and like I just put all of my game stuff in it. And like as time
Yeah.
goes by, I just keep like replacing that storage container, but all of my game stuff just goes in a big bin, and I just have never let it go because like I think I made the mistake like once where I sold a game to like, oh, I'm gonna sell this game to GameStop so I could buy a new game. And I like went home, played the game, hated it, and went like, uh-oh, I got rid of a good
What have
game
I
that I like to
done?
get this. Yeah, I was like, I will never do this again. This is a terrible system. Like, no, I must hoard all of it. It must all stay with me forever. Like just like a visceral fear of losing any of the stuff that I actually like. And I don't know. Some
Now
of
it's
it's funny,
replaced by the
like
fear that Steam will go offline one day.
well, but like so modern games I'm not too concerned about losing. It's all the old stuff that I care the most about because that's the stuff I have nostalgia for. But like thankfully most cartridge stuff I've just like I have everything now. Like every single like game up until CD consoles. I have all of the ROMs, all of them. Like I decided
CDs
at
are
one
also a
point.
pain because they rot,
Oh
whereas
yeah,
the
but
cartridges
like
don't as much.
but trying to play those, like trying to emulate those games is too hard. So I've just like my
Yeah.
like backup recovery is like in the event I had like a fire and all of my physical stuff got destroyed, I have these ROMs like stored and I will always have them and like they will never leave my sight because it's like that's my last chance to have access to these games that like how do I go I can't buy a Sega Master System and go get Alex Kidd. Like are you kidding me? It's just going to cost me an arm and a leg. Like go get a Game Gear and happen to get the game that I enjoyed playing? No. Why? Like I would rather just not. So
Oh no.
it's what?
Sorry, I've reached the error because I've been keeping the chat on the most recent question and then scrolling down to the next one each time so I can keep our place. And I just reached the part of the of our chat log where there's a guy that's just like it's just a funny mug. What's everyone making a big deal about it? Like he's just that guy from Disco Elysium that picks that option.
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
Yeah.
there's that guy. Bye. Scrolling
Yeah.
more.
What is the next question? Tell us.
I'm trying to find
So
one
we may
again.
reminisce about past mistakes and trauma.
But I think we ran out of questions. Wait,
No, we have not run out
No.
of questions.
what's
mean,
your
we-
most
we-
enjoyable LP this year, and what are you looking forward most to start an LP of?
Did I play video
The
games
new-
this year?
The new DLC for Outer Wilds.
Oh yeah, I'm torn between Outer Wilds DLC because that game's so good and Deathloop.
Hmm.
just because I can't
Broken
believe
all
it's
is
been
lost.
4 years since Prey.
Oh,
I
that's right. I
can't
did Prey
process-
this year.
I can't process
Prey.
how
Prey's my
old
most
Prey
enjoyed.
is.
Prey is my most enjoyed this year. Even though I did have a Vampire this year. I enjoyed... Oh, Vampire was so fun. But Prey was better.
I think my most enjoyed Let's Play is Hades.
Mm.
Mine's probably
far,
Zero Time Dilemma.
But I didn't. What?
Mm.
What is wrong with you?
It doesn't mean the game's good. That's not how this works.
Yes.
Games are like painful nightmares.
Although I did
And they
also have a lot of
only
fun
end-
finally doing a series on Resident Evil 6 after all this time. It took like 5
that
attempts
was a
to
fun one.
finally do a completed Resident Evil 6 playthrough. But it's also like
Oh, that's all.
a full circle thing where it was the original thing I tried to make an essay on all those days back. Maybe I'll make a low effort thing out of it, like top 5 and bottom 5 levels, where it's like the joke is I have to find 5 levels to compliment in Resident Evil 6.
What is the worst one? Is it the NASCAR? Or is it the warehouse where you run around a bunch as
Oh, the warehouse isn't
Leon?
even that bad. The snow level where you have to find 3 pieces
snow
of
level.
Jake's DNA when he's right there is pretty bad.
Is there? Did we play Wasteland this year?
That was
No,
probably
it was
that might have
last
been
year.
last year.
Dang it.
There's DLC
Alright.
for that, Andrew.
There's
Wha-
one
What's
coming
the
up?
really? Is there DLC? Keith, yeah, we're gonna just show up to the DLC and just with our fucking animal army ruin whatever plans they had.
They nerfed animals and shotguns.
It doesn't matter. It's too late. It's too late now. Like you can't.
That's
you can't
shitty in
fix
its
this
own
problem.
way. When you've already built your
Yeah.
playthrough a certain way, it's fucked up to patch the game and then change your viability of your build mid-run.
Yeah.
That's got
Like,
its own
yeah.
problems.
I don't think we're gonna have any problems. Even if we go back with our
That game
stunted
just has
build.
egregious
Like-
balance problems.
Yeah, it will never be balanced. You can't fix that.
Well, it's just like
Like, it's-
80% of game was just like unviably useless, and it's like, how do I play the game then? And then you find your one broken thing. It's like, I guess I'm doing this now. Oh fuck, Half-Life Alyx was this year. I guess that might be my favorite game this year.
Benjamin. No, what?
I liked
was
how I
it?
went into that game not understanding until I'd already started playing it that it was a horror game. I was like, what have I done? This is a game where spiders jump at your face in 3D. I didn't really think this through. I literally made it all the way into to the prologue and got to the second level where you see zombies lying around. You're like, oh, wait, Half-Life is kind of horror-y, isn't it? And now I'm playing it in VR. Oh, no.
Yeah. I think Half-Life 2 really digs into the horror more than the first one. I don't know that they even tried in the first game to be horror-y.
Yeah, I don't know if they did, but Half-Life 2 was definitely horror-y. Like a lot more darkness, and there's just like monsters that like grab you and pull you to the ceiling, and the head crabs jumping at your face, and there's like a new, scarier one that's like poisony and looks like even more spidery, and then they just have a zombie, like mow down these zombies like Ravenholm level, where it's just this
Ravenholm, yeah.
mad scramble, and then having to do that all, like that's already like, it's like horror light, but then you take that and you put it in 3D. In
Oh, yeah.
VR, when you have to do it all manually and aiming as hard, and stuff keeps coming at you, and it's like it's way scarier immediately. And they clearly realized that during development and played it up so hard.
Did you think the process of having to pick up all the little snails or whatever those are for upgrades, do you think that detracted from the game or did it add?
Grabbing the weird little like discs that
Yeah,
had shiny
I don't-
holes in them. I like being rewarded for exploring thoroughly and looking around your environment a lot, like heart pieces and stuff. So like I just think that it's neat to be like taking a careful look around and grabbing those all up, and then getting to the next upgrade station and be like, finally one. Like it's kind of like that part in particular was Dead Space as hell. Like now that I'm playing Dead Space right now, I'm like, wow, this is like the structure of Half-Life Alyx's campaign. Is they just specifically scattered a weird upgrade resource everywhere, and then you had to like pick it up by being thorough while you're also kind of playing through a horror thing. But I like grabbing up those things. The worm things that were for healing were like clearly
There
designed
were
for
too
somebody that
much.
was having more trouble with the game.
Yeah. They should be what Dead Space. They should do what Dead Space does, which is give you more healing and more ammo based on how you're doing.
Does Dead Space
Or is
have
that
dynamic
based on?
difficulty like Resident Evil does? Because I know
Oh no
Resident
no
Evil
no
does
the
that.
no it's Resident Evil that I'm thinking of. What Dead Space does is it gives you more loot if you're playing on easier. That's why you find all those locked containers, as far as I know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I might be mistaken about that though. I think I read it somewhere because I've never played that. I mean, I lie. I played Dead Space a little bit, and it wasn't Resident Evil. When I say Resident Evil, I mean Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, not whatever it became. Um, it wasn't Resident Evil, so I was, oh, this is very actiony. I'm not into this, and I didn't play it.
A loss, truly.
Oh,
You missed on.
I like stuff like Alien Isolation more, just things that are more ponderous in the horror rather than just killing a bunch of mutants, which is fun. It can be fun, but
I I don't know. I think I don't know. Dead Space is always 1 and 2 were always a lot of fun. Those are the games that I like enjoyed going through and playing multiple times, just because there's always this like, how could I have done this better? How could I have, well, like, what would if I upgraded this differently, or what if I did this instead? Like, there's a lot of fun uh, uh, situations you can find yourself in. If you're like, oh, I upgraded the plasma cutter to be ridiculously strong, so I can just like like pretty much get every enemy onto its knees immediately.
that's what
Or
Keith did.
yeah, or alternatively, you could be like, I'm just gonna put all of my points into the what is it, into the like the saw blaster for some reason, and like never have
The
ammo to
remote,
use this thing.
the
But
remote saw thing. What is it
yeah,
called?
like I don't remember. I just there are some weapons that you're like you can just hurt yourself to upgrade more, but it's fun. I think two is my favorite just because there's a lot more. There are a lot more enemies to stomp on in two. Two just had better enemies to
Mhm.
bully. One was pretty tame on its enemies.
I
But
think at the time when I played Dead Space, I think I was considering between Dead Space and Gears of War. I think, and Gears of War just appealed more to my action sense, and I played through the campaign. I remember there being one particular point that was really rubbish, but generally I liked Gears of War better.
I
Where
remember
where did
playing
Keith
the
go?
first Gears
Oh,
of War campaign over and over and over again, and then barely touching the sequels and just being really bored with them.
well,
Like
because it
yeah.
didn't
like the
change
phase had
much.
just
It's not like
passed.
it.
It's funny because
Yeah.
Gears of War 1 was specifically just so not finished. So I played like what might have been the worst campaign the most, but it was like new at the time. But yeah, like it's so incomplete that it's full of stuff like how you just like I think at some point you just like teleport to a train and that's like where the final
hmm
level is and there's no context for it because like there's several just missing levels they never finished throughout the campaign. It's one of my
it feels that very much. Yeah.
yeah, it's one of the funny things about a lot of the like sort of like iconic or memorable games and so on is that a lot of times like these days they keep getting like high budget remakes and they're like games that they were themselves like unfinished and cobbled together. It's like, wow, if this game was going to be worthy of remaking, sure would have been nice if they had the chance to finish it the first time. Like
Yeah.
how Demon Souls has an entire missing chapter and it has the high super ultra high budget remake and all that. And like the KOTOR remake has me wondering like are they going to remake KOTOR 2 and are they going to like bring back that like lost content when they do it or are they or is it going to be
Well,
once again like missing all that stuff?
yeah, I think KOTOR is specifically going to be like a whole new game, in the sense that it's going to be, it's not the same engine or anything of the sort. It probably isn't going to play like the same. But because
Weird.
they're hiring writers and stuff, so they're
Yeah.
not going to just copy paste.
What movie or video game music? I think we're completely caught up in this last question too. What
Mhm.
movie or video game music takes you to a peaceful place?
Alien.
Mhm.
Alien takes me to a peaceful place. I love it.
Like like the movie.
The movie, it's great. It's fantastic.
The Dark Crystal theme song is phenomenal.
Mm.
It punches me.
Kind of worried about you guys.
Oh, I don't listen to music to go to a peaceful place. I can't actually. I can't actually. Yeah, I can't. It's more like a peaceful place. What is that? Is that for when you're
I
trying
don't
to
know.
relax?
What's that for?
Yeah.
We're in a modern productivity world.
Yeah. No, I think if it is for trying to relax, yeah, Alien for me in terms of movies. But songs, I don't, or music, I don't listen to music for relaxation.
What?
If I had, yeah, I don't. It's always for enjoyment of the song
Oh
of the
wow, I
music
love
itself.
lo-fi chill beats to study/relax to.
Yeah, I can't do that. I don't do that.
I'm
It's always
Yeah, no,
high
I
energy.
almost exclusively listen to higher energy music.
I can listen to
uh
like sad songs, like Stephen Wilson
Garage rock.
is one of. I can listen to sad songs like from one of my favorite authors is Stephen Wilson, and he also has a band or had a band called Porcupine Tree, and a lot of their songs are very melancholic and low energy. But I listen to them and I engage with them in the moment, and I can't just put them in the background and be like, that's it. Nah, it's just like I'm
Yeah.
feeling it when I'm listening.
And
aquatic
yeah.
ambience for 10 hours. There you go. The end. It's
Best
easy.
song.
I think
Yeah, it's the best. It's the
podcasts
best song.
podcasts and video essays like squished out the idea of like listening to background music. So
Yeah, that's true.
now music is just a thing I listen to on purpose if I ever get around to
I
it. And honestly, one of the primary
Yeah.
times I encounter music these days is when we're like going on a road trip and everyone's taking turns picking the next song basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I
Mhm.
learned about a lot of like AJJ and stuff like that. Was Stephanie
I'm
will play a
thinking
lot of folk punk.
I'm thinking
I
like
do.
I like when I take walks, I listen to music and I try to like find new music to listen to, and because it's it's the same walk, but the only thing that changes is just like what you're listening to.
Mm-hmm.
But
For me, music like having somebody recommend music to you and then enjoying that piece of music with them is something very powerful as a personal relationship sort of thing. You don't have to. You don't have to like enjoy it in a way that I'm gonna start listening to this for the rest of my life or something like that. But like having somebody show you, look at this, and you listen and you give it a shot and learn a little bit more. That's something that I've always valued very much. And like I've mentioned it before. I have had a band for a few years, and we grow and we shrink. It's just an amateur band where we play for fun, and some musicians enter and leave, and all. It's always a mess because there's no bass players. There's just bass players are a mythical creature, um, and it's just availability and all that. It's difficult, but throughout all the jam sessions and just going to friends' concerts and stuff like that, which I haven't done in the last few years, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna do again, honestly. But all the all the all the relationships are punctuated, and not really punctuated. They're sort of around liking music, and obviously because it's in a music scene, it's obvious for that to be the case. But it's just it's a shared connection. Music is so powerful for a relationship. And I'm talking about friends, not even like love relationships or anything. I whenever somebody tells me to listen to a song, I'm like, yeah, let's give it a shot because yeah, it's I think that's where I learned the most. Just picking random music on purpose is not something I do, unfortunately, or I feel comfortable doing. I should say, I can do it, but it's just I don't do it.
That's why so many people's tastes are just dictated by what's popular and what's on the radio or what's like viral or whatever. Is because
Mm-hmm.
how the fuck do you just like encounter music that you'll like half the time? But yeah, like the credit song of the Annihilation video was because Stephanie was playing AJJ all the time, and then that song made it into that video. It's like, I didn't fucking know that song a year ago, but it was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
oh, uh, Also, Gangplank Galleon. That's a good one.
Is that
10 hours of that.
from One Piece?
They're both from no, those are both from Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Country had some just slapping music.
I
Like,
love
you
the
cannot,
main. I love Jungle Japes.
you just
It's
can't,
just
you
so
can't hate
catchy.
Donkey Kong music. It's so good. Yeah.
And I don't even like
Uh,
Donkey Kong.
You don't have to like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
You just
I don't like anything about Donkey Kong besides its music.
yeah. Well, I like Donkey Kong Country a lot,
Yeah.
but yeah, it has great music.
I like actively dislike the graphic style that Rare went for with those games. I'm like, this is really ugly. Don't do that.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
it's so unappealing. It's like kind of
That's
okay
funny.
in Golden Sun, and basically nobody else did a good job at it. And it's hard to, and it's arguable that I even like it entirely in Golden Sun.
I think that was like the main reason I even bought the game was because it looked like that.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, this
in
looks different. I'm so used to like Super Mario Brothers, and that just looks boring. It's just because it's just pixels, you know. Like, but seeing like a 3D thing in a Super Nintendo was like, whoa, how do they do that?
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's really good art direction, honestly.
What are
Just
some of your
Rare.
favorite games from genres that you normally don't like?
Hmm.
genres that I
Overwatch.
don't normally like.
Overwatch. You don't like you liar. You like competitive shooters.
Yeah,
When I
you're playing
started
Splitgate now. Don't lie.
when I started playing Overwatch, I had not touched competitive shooters basically at all since Halo
Since
2,
Halo, yeah.
which was 2004. I played that for like
okay,
a year straight, addictively,
that
and
checks
will
out.
rave about its cool DLC practices and all that, where they would become free and stuff. But
That checks
yeah,
out.
I just didn't bother with competitive like anything basically forever. And Overwatch is even not only is it a competitive online shooter, it's a PC online shooter, and like PC games burned me by everyone being like absurdly, because I think about like playing RTSs as a kid and just getting crushed. So it's like a hyper elite feeling context, and then on top of that, if you before Overwatch, I would have told you that I don't like objective based shooters at all.
Mm.
Like I don't want to, like I want objectives in my campaign. I wish like I wish Perfect Dark style games were still really common, as opposed to just like shooting gallery games, which is what most shooter campaigns are. But multiplayer, I would just play fucking team deathmatch over and over again. I never had any interest in objectives. They usually always felt like they were just worse. And Overwatch is fucking fantastic at what it does. It like makes me angry how my taste it is, despite none of the signifiers being there.
I have the problem where I like most genres, and the one specifically that I don't tend to like, which is JRPGs. I don't have any JRPG that I like,
Yeah.
not a single one. But
Pyre made me like a sports game
yeah, like
and a visual novel.
I don't like walking simulators a whole lot, and in fact, I very rarely play them. But I do have one in particular, which is What Remains of Edith Finch, that I enjoyed a lot. And if you include in that genre, which you shouldn't because most of it is flying, but if you include Outer Wilds, then Outer Wilds, because what is even the genre of Outer Wilds, right?
Metroid Brainia.
No. Well, there you go. Then Outer Wilds is amazing.
I'll
So,
make
yeah,
a
What
video
Remains...
one day that normalizes that stupid pun term I made up.
It's good.
I guess. This
Yeah.
is really hard. I
It
guess.
is because we just sort of play the games that we like, the genres that we like.
Well, not just that, but like I have to find something I enjoyed, which is the hard part. I mean, I guess if we can be like bending the rules a little bit, I would say probably Outer Worlds. Like I hate RPG games, but I got through that one, and I think I think I only got through that one just because it literally had like the hardest time trying to bend its back to excuse my behavior, and I thought that was like pretty funny.
Oh.
Like it just couldn't. the game just wasn't built for me. It just was not from the ground up. It was built for somebody taking this like even just a fraction more seriously than I could possibly ever give it. But like the game had to pretend like there was like an option for me that was because it wasn't just going to give me a failed state, but also it should have given me a fail state because it's just there was no one left in my game after. It was just me and that scientist guy wouldn't let me kill, and that was it. And it was still
But
just
really,
like, you did
couldn't
it,
kill
good job.
you couldn't kill the people in the spaceship. Those were the real friends we made
Mhm.
along the way.
The
I mean,
people
yeah,
that are only saved off camera after the game's over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The only if the game didn't let me kill them, those are the only people that lived. Everyone else was gone. Because like, how do you have to? Yeah, you can't fix a system like that without literally removing all the people involved in it. Like, every person in that game was just like, you can't be salvaged. I'm sorry, you have to go. It's
I
like,
think
It's a
think,
trope.
yeah.
It's a joke and also a truth. When people always say like, you can't imagine a world, people can't imagine a world after capitalism. Andrew can. It's just glassed.
yeah, it's just,
But
yeah,
it's
it's
the
a
point of the
very.
game. I think it is the point of the game makes at the end. It's a cynical point.
I mean, to be honest, the entire point of the game is just to like get these actually non-destructive to their life and everything else people to like alive and on the planet. And no better way to do that than to just empty out all the homes and get rid of all the people who are gonna ruin their interpretation of space. Like, let's just clear the field, get these people in here with no issues. Like, hey, look, homes are already built for you. There's like some kind of infrastructure. Don't worry about the corpses. We'll clean those up next week. But like, it's good. You can whatever system you're thinking of, we can have it here. Capitalists, that you should go back in the sleeping tube. Trust me, I don't want you to be in this pile of dead bodies. But like, everything else on the table. Like, it was just really.
I've got like 5 minutes left before my food gets here. What
Just one
movie
more
are you looking
question then.
forward to watching this year?
Wait,
Oh.
movies come out still?
Surprise, they're back. I mean, I guess they never stopped. They were just being released weirdly and like you had to like hear about them.
Oh
What's the
no.
worst movie that's coming out this year?
They try to reverse psychology it.
Jungle Cruise?
That sounds awful.
It's already out.
Shit.
I mean, you
What's
can look.
not out yet?
Yeah, this
all
year.
the-
I mean, we're almost at the end.
Cosmic Sin.
What is
Wait.
that?
I'm sorry. Is that Will Smith? Not Will Smith. What's his name? The other guy.
I just searched 2021 movies and I'm seeing a grid that I mostly things
Bruce
I don't
Willis.
recognize.
Oh, that's Bruce Willis. Wait, Bruce Willis is still alive?
Yeah.
Oh my God, how old are you, Bruce? Go to sleep.
66. He's
66.
He's not incredibly old or anything.
What is Cosmic Sin?
It is a sci-fi movie
Uh,
directed by the same person who directed.
It's war on a space planet with aliens. Perfect. That sounds so bare bones. Let's go with that. That sounds. It's got a 2.5 out of 10 on IMDb.
That's probably That probably makes it a good movie.
That's exactly what I want to see. That was the movie I was expecting. I was so excited for it, and it lived up to the hype. So,
I don't watch movies, so I don't. Yeah.
My
last
air
movie I
conditioner
watched
was
was,
broken for a week, so I ran off to the theater to experience cold air again because I was burning everywhere and I couldn't get any work done because all I could think about was how I was just stewing in my juices and shit. So I went to the theater and I saw 10 Rings and Candyman back to back. Candyman's pretty good. 10 Rings was a reminder of like, oh yeah, Marvel does just make like these competent kind of like enjoyable movies that you'll forget about immediately, but like in the moment they seem pretty well made. You're like, oh yeah, this is why they've been succeeding. I kind of forgot because I haven't seen one for like a year and a half. But what the surprise was, while I was watching those movies as a trailer for a movie I'd fucking never heard of. There's an Edgar Wright movie coming out soon, so that one, I didn't know there was an Edgar Wright movie coming out. I heard him mention like the documentary about like a rock band or something, but I did not know that he had like what looks like a horror movie with time travel, which is a fucking departure for him because all of his other movies are like, I guess not always, but like there's like it's like a build up to like action set pieces. Maybe Shaun of the Dead the least of all, but Baby Driver, Scott Pilgrim, and At World's End are all like action movies by the end. And so like, and there's like a style to his stuff that I'm like, I don't know how that's going to translate to what looks like a horror movie, but I want to see it. So I'm very excited about
Last
that.
Night in Soho.
There it is. It's literally not on the screen. I'm looking at a giant grid of 2021 movies and it's not on it, which is just frustrating. Maybe it's not.
I don't know that it releases in the US because on the Wikipedia page it only says United Kingdom release in 29th of October.
Wikipedia says 29th October USA.
Oh, okay.
So it comes out like a day before Halloween. Can't wait.
I like to think that Baby Driver is just like
that's the fastest a movie's aged poorly ever.
I like to imagine it's just like
it was like in theaters while the Kevin Spacey stuff was coming out, I think.
What was?
Baby Driver.
Oh.
Kevin Spacey's in it prominently. It's like,
I don't even know what
no.
Is Baby Driver. What is it? What is it? Oh. Okay. That does, yeah, wow, that's probably not ideal.
Yeah, he's like a getaway driver, and it's done in the Edgar Wright sort of style, and it's the gimmick in that particular movie is a lot of it was synced up to music. So he was always, because he has tinnitus, so he's always listening to music in his headphones, and you would hear the music he's listening to, and the world would sync up with the music.
Oh, that's neat.
And it's fun.
Yeah. I when you said Baby Driver, I thought it was just like a Nickelodeon children's version of Drive.
No, Boss
It's
Baby.
like a bunch of it's like the Boss Baby of Drive.
Yeah,
like, so it's just a bunch of like Muppets driving cars. Like
Baby Driver is an entire movie of Edgar Wright showing off, which is usually what he does.
Isn't that what all directors do? It's not like the entire point of cinematography is just showing off.
He seems to have such specific control over what comes out, and so he flexes that a lot.
Is he talking about poop?
It
or
feels like some
we'll
Baz
never know.
Luhrmann shit sometimes. Like that level of like, this is just, I can get away with whatever the fuck I want. Let's go.
Yeah, I think I've seen 2 movies in theaters this year. No, 3 movies. 3 movies?
I also saw The Purge, whichever the new one was, the Forever Purge. This one's about the border. Those are, they're trash, but they're my trash.
I've only seen 3 movies this year. So I'm on the road here to seeing them all. Every movie 2021. Gonna watch it. I don't know. It's tough. I like the only time I know movies exist are if I go to the movies and they tell me about a movie existing, because otherwise I have no visibility into what comes out. Like I don't watch advertisements, and I literally get no advertisements in my life. So a movie has to like somehow jump over into real world without it being through advertisement, or it has to be like whatever's playing at the local
find out
drive-in.
like most movies that I end up being interested in via YouTube. Often because like someone makes a video about it or something. Yeah. Because like if you just sit around hearing about all the movies coming out, it's like you just get numb because most of them look horrible. Like it's just not good. You just get word of mouth though, and you're like, oh yeah, Invisible Man, The Hunt, Green Knight, yeah, I'll check those out.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like pretty much the majority of the times I see trailers, it's also still just
Parasite?
like, wow,
that was some strong word of mouth.
That was.
Wait, Parasite?
Yeah, you heard about Parasite so much when it was coming out because people were really fans of that.
What is
is
that Korean film that won awards? Oh, yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's all I know about it. I don't know anything about that movie. I have no idea what the plot is. I have no idea like what the why
Otherwise,
it's so
it's
popular.
directors. Oh, you never seen Parasite?
Yeah, just no. I again, it's a movie. I'm not gonna watch it unless like there's something
Someone
critical that's
makes
pushing
you.
me to.
They have to like trick you
Yeah,
into it.
like I'm never
We have
I'm
to
never
get
gonna
to you
go.
through. You have to get to you through your girlfriend.
Yeah, but it's like no, yeah, basically like because otherwise I won't. Why I'm not gonna make the effort to. I've got such a backlog of anime. I don't have time for adding movies to that.
I follow
It's just
directors a lot, and I know that the like auteur stuff isn't entirely a thing, and it's like iffy. But there's also like no easy way to track who will make projects that you like when they're made by like 600 people. So the director still is like the best reference point you have. Like an actor's not. Fuck,
No, it really isn't.
things are an actor gonna be in. Well, I sure like Tom Holland and Spider-Man. Let's watch the movie where men's rapey thoughts are broadcasted in the audio around them via a cloud glimmer.
wasn't that
no.
Black Mirror episode?
That's a real movie.
There are some actors that will be more
Choosy.
consistent. Like, for example, Denzel Washington has a very specific style of movie that he makes.
Oh, yeah.
Or that he belongs
It's worth keeping an eye out for what
Is he-
movies
Or who the actor is,
Shit.
or the main like
the actor
lead actor is.
from Ex Machina and Star Wars.
I don't know. Oh,
Shit, Oscar Isaac.
oh, right, that one.
He's
I don't
in
know
Ex
who the hell
Machina
that
and
is.
Annihilation and all that. You know who Oscar Isaac
Oscar-
is? He plays Poe in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh, I know who Poe is. Yeah.
When you see him outside of the blockbuster stuff, it's like, well, here's an interesting list to go through.
I
But
don't.
I'll
have I
follow
seen anything it's
directors
ever been
mostly,
in?
like Ryan Johnson or Edgar Wright or Tarantino.
Oh well, that's probably why. Star Wars is the only movie he's ever been in I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's the only movie I've seen. Oh, I haven't seen Star Wars, but I know
Mhm.
him from Star
Oh,
Wars.
I guess also Sucker Punch.
Oh no.
Oh, did I watch Sucker Punch? I did watch Sucker
Um,
Punch, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
that's it though. I don't know any of these other movies he's been in. Well, I mean, I know some of them, like Born Legacy, but I didn't watch it, obviously. But yeah, I don't. Oh, I guess also in Into the Spider-Verse, but that was animated, so I didn't know it was him.
Who's in that? I didn't even know that.
Apparently, he
He
must have played like
interesting
a voice.
person number one. What the fuck does that?
There you go.
Why? Anyway, we're 3 hours in. Goodbye, everybody. It's time to head out.
That's an
See you
abrupt
later.
ending.
Yeah, well, we're
The food has arrived.
We've got lives. We can't sit here answering questions.
we're
all
over
day.
time, and we're just send in your questions to dialogchoicespodcast@gmail.com for future episodes and all that. Happy 1 year anniversary, everybody! Here's to 10
Yay.
more. This was our 1 year and 10-year anniversary at the same time because we're bad at this, I guess.
Wow.
Or good. Or good, because
Whee!
it's 10.
Go to bed.
I am trying to.
Rude, honestly.